Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Sesshomaru adopts Naruto in Inuyasha. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Millwood and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Sesshomaru looked at the location he was in and closed his eyes. Too much has happened in his life to care about a new territory. And besides, it smelled of humans. Sesshomaru lightly growled. How he hated humans. He always wanted to get away from all the foolish Hanyas and that stupid toad that followed him, but he did not mean a place full of humans. Damn you Hanyu. Sesshomaru was not the one to use profane words, but he was annoyed. His anger was at a minimal, but he still felt like going on a rampage. His plans to steal the Tetseiga had gone wrong once more. Sesshomaru looked at his clothes. All bloody? How would he get new ones now? He was in a different dimension and had clothes and blood. With his damned injuries as well. Sesshomaru couldn't even comprehend when he had such injuries. It was frustrating, but he had his healing powers to heal his wounds. With his plans averted for the time being, he would first need to find new clothes and then find his way to his dimension. His eyes were a bit tired. But with the new sounds his ears picked up, it was a battle between his mind and instincts. Sesshomaru was unsure about the new place, and he was also needing his powers and strength to return. Neither would happen anytime soon. Sesshomaru stood up and decided that the sooner he found some clothes in his world, the better off he would be. Sesshomaru stopped, his eyes slightly wide. There was no way a demon besides himself could be in this dimension. It was powerful, ruthless, intense. Sesshomaru looked around and his eyes scanned the landscape. Some of the ground was soft and rugged. It looked like a flood of water and other content had washed over it. Sesshomaru walked toward the village. He would no doubt find trouble. Help! My child is stuck! Yelled a woman. Sesshomaru looked around the village. It was torn up. Fires had started and water had washed over some of the grounds, drowning out any and all living creatures. Sesshomaru was amazed at the power that had created such destructive forces and destruction. Elements, that's what it was. Types of elements had created such that. But what demon could control the elements? This is unlike what Father could do. It is as if a true demon without any thought had done this. But with this power and the scales of the way it churned the power, it is as if it was controlled. And no common demon could control such forces. Sesshomaru stopped. He could feel the mush of mud and grass under his shoes. He looked around and saw many people looking at him. It was the blood and the different clothing and the way he seemed to act that attracted them, was his conclusion. Are you here to help us? One asked. Sesshomaru almost scoffed. But he remembered that they knew not of him, and restrained himself. No, he replied. Sesshomaru found the humans a bit awkward than what the other humans were. They wore green-like vests and dark pants with a sash WTH a leaf-like symbol carved into it. They had weapons that common ninja from Sesshomaru's world used. Kunai, shuriken. Those weapons had targeted him more than once in his lifetime. Sesshomaru looked ahead. What is going on? He asked. You don't know? A man asked. Sesshomaru's hand twitched, wanting to kill the man. Sesshomaru clenched his fist. All I see is destruction, he said. The Kyubi no Kitsune is on its way here. A man with a toothpick in his mouth said. Sesshomaru stared ahead. Where is your leader? Sesshomaru asked. You mean the yandame? One asked. Sesshomaru nodded, unsure of what a yandame was. He's at the Kage Tower or the hospital. A young boy with silver hair said. Sesshomaru turned and headed in the direction that the yandame might be. Hey wait! Sesshomaru ignored them. Their problems were not his. Sesshomaru looked around the hospital and saw many people in white running around. He grabbed one by the arm. Where is the yandame? He asked. I am not obligated to tell you, the woman said. Sesshomaru tightened his grip on her arm. She winced. Room 492. She said. Sesshomaru let her go and walked to the room. Sesshomaru looked around as he saw 489. He looked to his right. Room 492. Sesshomaru walked to the door and laid his hand on it. He heard voices. 2 voices, male and female. Sesshomaru opened it, and 2 faces turned to him. Who are you? A blonde-haired man said. Sesshomaru saw the stance the man took and smirked. Overprotective much. Amusing. Are you the yandame? Sesshomaru questioned. The man was taken aback by the question but nodded. Yes, I am the yandame, he replied. Sesshomaru looked at the red-haired girl in the bed. What is the name of this village? Sesshomaru questioned. The reason he needed to know was because in case he tired of the toad when he saw him again, he could send the toad there, and make him stay there as long as he wanted. What? The yandame asked. They were in a battle with a demon and a man was wanting to know what the name of the village was called. Did he not know of the demon? Kanohigaku no Sato, he replied. Sesshomaru nodded. Now about the demon fox, what do you know of it? Minato sighed. Too long a story for now. But it's a demon with 9 tails and it causes much destruction. What's more, its mind is currently enslaved, he said. A sudden cry was heard. The three occupants turned to the cry, and a baby with blonde hair that was wrapped in a blue blanket stared at Sesshomaru. Minato looked at the baby and picked it up. Sure, it's okay, Naruto. Daddy's here. The man cooed. Sesshomaru raised an eyebrow. Interesting. And that is the mother? Sesshomaru said as he looked at the woman. Kushina. Yeah, she's the mother. Minato said. Then his face turned solemn. And you still haven't introduced yourself? He concluded. Sesshomaru. He replied. Minato nodded. My time's near. I better get the sealing ready. He said. Sealing? Sesshomaru questioned. A sealing allows me to seal the spirit of a demon in an infant. And he looked down at the baby in his arms. Minato sighed. I hate to do this though. Sesshomaru looked out the window and saw a great, red beast heading to the village. So that's the demon. He mumbled. Minato nodded sadly. And Naruto is going to bear a heavy burden. I just wish I could be there for you. Sesshomaru stared at the two. His lips curved into a frown. History always turns out in an ugly way. No matter who you are, what will happen to the infant after the sealing? Sesshomaru asked. Kushina will look out for him. Minato said. Sesshomaru sensed something approaching the young woman fast, but he knew that it was already too late for her. She could not care for the boy, but he remained silent. Good luck with it then. I must take my leave. Sesshomaru said. Wait. The man said. Sesshomaru turned. What is it? Who are you really? I know you are not a common civilian or a shinobi. By the blood on the clothing you wear, you're not from any village I have seen. Smart human. You are correct. Minato took a defensive stance. Sesshomaru opened the door. I am neither of any village or of this world. He concluded as he left. Sesshomaru looked up at the blood-red sky which was raining. It was already beginning. A sealing. Minato looked at the demon which was snarling at him some feet away. Are you ready, Gamabunta? He asked the giant toad. If I'm ready or not doesn't matter. Let's just go. Room for one more? A voice questioned. Minato turned to look at Sesshomaru. So what brought you back? Minato asked with a grin. I have one thing to tell you about what you plan to do. Sesshomaru said. Minato dropped his grin. What is it? He asked. The seal you plan to use will gradually weaken should the boy tap into the demon's power for the first time without leering control. Sesshomaru said, ignoring the killer intent from the demon. I've already figured that. But it's worth it. If only for some years. But I still feel bad for leaving him like this. Minato said. Sesshomaru nodded. And that woman will soon follow. Sesshomaru said. Minato snapped his gaze to Sesshomaru. What? He asked. She will follow. I can sense it. She is stricken ill now. Very little is currently noticeable. But it's there. Sesshomaru said. Minato looked down. That means Naruto would have no parents. Minato said. He'll be fine. If you think he is strong enough to hold this great demon, then surely he can hold his own against growing up without parents. Sesshomaru said. No, he needs parents. I grew up without any and it hurt deeply. Sesshomaru was amazed at the man. You don't know anything of it feels to be a lone widow's zero-UT parents. Sesshomaru dodged a tail as it came toward him. I do know how it feels. He said quietly to himself as he jumped forward. Sesshomaru and Minato both fought the denman equally. Sesshomaru looked at the giant toad that the yandame was riding on. Typical human. He shook his head as he used his whip against the demon. Minato looked at him with amazement. How can he do that? Sesshomaru stared the demon down with his own piercing eyes. The demon narrowed its eyes and let a terrible roar. Sesshomaru smirked and jumped back and he watched as the demon raised the tail. Look out, Sesshomaru! Sesshomaru raised his arms in front of him in a guarded position over his face, and the demon's tails rushed at him. Sesshomaru braced himself and waited for the impact, but it didn't occur. Sesshomaru looked ahead and saw the toad in front of him. Minato turned to him. You okay, Sesshomaru? He asked. Sesshomaru nodded. The demon roared and it raised its paw and slashed the toad. Damn it! Minato, pay attention! The toad yelled. Sesshomaru raised an eyebrow. Oh, sorry, Gamabunta. Minato said as he disappeared in a flash. Sesshomaru looked ahead. What's your next move? The blonde reappeared with 2 blue balls of chakra in each hand. He rammed them into the demon. He jumped back as a red aura started to make its way to the injury. What's happening? Healing. The demon is healing itself. Sesshomaru stated. Healing? Damn it! Minato cursed. Sesshomaru smirked. He reminded him of Inuyasha. Leave this to me? Sesshomaru said as he stepped forward. What? Sesshomaru, you can't be serious. Just shut up and get the seal ready. Sesshomaru stared ahead and he closed his eyes. A wind picked up around him. His silver hair raised some, and he reopened his eyes and they were red. He narrowed them and a light shot up in the air and soon came down on him. Like a ray it traced the grounds and Sesshomaru was engulfed. What's happening? Minato asked in a panic. This guy is different than any human. The toad stated. The light disappeared and in Sesshomaru's place was a giant dog with white fur and blood-red eyes. It was evenly sized with the Kyuubi. Sesshomaru? Minato exclaimed. The giant dog turned its eyes to him before staring at the other demon. The kitsen's eyes curved into what seemed like a smile. Hee, and here I thought I was the only one. The demon stated, speaking for the first time. Minato stared ahead. I never would have believed this if I never saw it. 2 demons, that is interesting. Are you going to seal Sesshomaru as well? The toad asked. Minato shook his head. No, I don't think he would do anything, he said. At least I hope. I just have high hope. I need to finish this. This battle might result in more deaths than saving them. And I need to hurry in finding my way out of this place. Sesshomaru lunged forward and grabbed the demon's neck in his mouth and bit down hard, drawing blood. The demon reared in pain and it eyed Sesshomaru and slashed him with its claws across the side. Sesshomaru bit down harder. His older injuries were still there, and it was weakening him. Get the seal formed. Sesshomaru thought to the yondaime as he glared at him. Minato nodded and started to perform the seals. Sesshomaru jumped back as a light started to envelop the fox demon. Sesshomaru looked back and saw the yondaime falling off of the toad which was disappearing. Sesshomaru disappeared and he reappeared with Minato on his back. Sesshomaru laid him down. Minato opened his eyes. It took you long enough, he teased. Sesshomaru reverted to his usual form, and vice versa. Sesshomaru shot back. There was something about this man that reminded Sesshomaru of his own father. Hey, yeah? I was just making sure you didn't do anything stupid. Sesshomaru shook his head. You are hopeless. Point taken. Minato looked at the raining sky. Sesshomaru? Sesshomaru looked at him. Would you take my headband and cloak to the residence and wait for a few years before giving it to Naruto? He asked. Sesshomaru looked up. What does wait a few years before giving it to him mean exactly? I'm asking you to take care of Naruto, Minato said. Sesshomaru looked down at the man. What of the other people? I have signed a certificate that says you are granted the guardianship of Naruto. Along with Jiraiya, who is the godfather, Minato said. Sesshomaru sighed. He had no choice. Very well, Sesshomaru said. Besides that, he could help the infant to train the Kyuubi's power. Not a bad feat, and I suppose he would need to know his parents' names. Kushina Namikaze and Minato Namikaze. That's the names? Sesshomaru nodded. I guess this is it, Minato said. He smiled. Tell the other guys I said goodbye. I will. Minato's eyes closed. He was dead with a smile on his face. Sesshomaru sighed as he stood up. Goodbye, he repeated. Chapter 2. Sesshomaru looked down at the infant. The human child looked like yondaime much. Sesshomaru looked at the people around him. They were gathering around in front of the Kage Tower. After yondaime had died, Sandaime had retaken the position, and after that, Sesshomaru had come to him and told him of the last words that yondaime had spoken. Sesshomaru did loathe the humans, but when he is in debt to anyone, his pride kicks in. So in certain circumstances, Sesshomaru knows that once he repays what he owes, the better. Sesshomaru had decided that in order to keep Naruto from being discovered as a vessel, he would take Naruto to his parents' estate, and wait until the boy turned 5, and then start preparing him for some training in fighting, but in his own way, the way he should be taught. The boy had a skill that not many were blessed with, and once he unlocked that power, great forces would be at his command. Sesshomaru sighed as he looked at the many buildings. His intellectual was great, but lately he had started to slack off. Something he hated. Sesshomaru narrowed his eyes and walked ahead. He would have been better with that 2-headed dragon if it was there. Sesshomaru looked at a very elegant building. Trees surrounded the house, which was about a 2-story home. It was white with red here and there. A large lake was in the back. Sesshomaru took the young boy inside and set him down inside a crib and walked around the house, observing the house. It had one large dojo with a fairly large living room and kitchen. There were 4 rooms. He sure planned on this family. Sesshomaru scowled. He had been feeling a bit different than usual. The man he had not known more than an hour or so seemed to have found himself a comrade of sorts to Sesshomaru. I have business to do and I cannot very well bring this child with me. Frustrating. Sesshomaru glowered and walked outside. He would need the one thing he hated most, but how could he reach the little pest? Help me, somebody! Help! Sesshomaru twitched some as he heard an all too familiar voice. Get away from me, you pathetic humans! The voice went on. Sesshomaru walked to some trees and made his way to a small part of the village, and saw a small mob of people around the screeching. Sesshomaru raised his hand and allowed a green whip to escape his palm and crack on the ground, gathering the mob's attention. They eyed him warily and scattered, and there stood a small green toad. Jaken, Sesshomaru stated. The green toad jumped, and his eyes widened. Lord Sesshomaru, he exclaimed. Be quiet. The toad quieted. I have a task for you, Jaken, Sesshomaru said as he led the toad to the estate. What? Jaken screeched. He eyed the child in the crib, sleeping. The baby opened his eyes, revealing blue eyes. Sesshomaru looked at the child. That is his son, all right. You mean I'm watching this human? Sesshomaru quieted him with a glare. Yes. I have some errands I have to deal with. And while I do them, you are to watch him, And if anything happens to him, you shall die," he said as he left. Jaken stuttered with a gulp. "Yes, sire," he quietly said. Cesomaru walked through the village, and he noticed the change of mood with the humans. Many were shying away from him and others started to hyperventilate. "There he is! He's a demon too," one man said. Cesomaru stared ahead, stoic. "I know him. He came through here before the Kyubi arrived. He was asking for the Yondaime. He could have been working with the Kyubi and killed Yondaime after Kyubi was killed." "An act of foolishness. Move," Cesomaru stated. "I saw him with a weird ability, and he used a green-like whip. And he had a child with him earlier. He probably killed it." The man was then on the ground, blood oozing from his chest, his eyes staring into the abyss. Cesomaru pulled out his hand and he shook his hand to rid the blood. "Anyone else?" he asked. The men backed away, afraid. "He's a demon," one said. "Run!" They all ran off. "Fools!" Cesomaru looked at the many masked shinobi that surrounded him. Cowards! Speak! Did you murder a civilian?" one asked. Cesomaru stared ahead. "I suggest you all move." They did not budge. Cesomaru closed his eyes. Well, if they wanted their numbers cut down, he would be glad to do it. "I did," Cesomaru said. "Why?" asked the same person. "If you wish to know, ask the others who saw it," Cesomaru said as he started to walk around them. The masked shinobi pulled out weapons. Cesomaru looked back. "Idiots. Do they think they can harm me with such impudent toys? I suggest you put those away. I might be forced to kill each one of you. And I know that the Sandaime who is watching now would highly disapprove." The shinobi backed away some. Cesomaru flexed his hands. A cracking noise was heard. The shinobi shuddered. Cesomaru smirked. "Now move," he said. Some moved. "I'm sick of you," one said while rushing toward him. Cesomaru simply tilted his head to one side as the human attempted to slice through his head with a kunai. Cesomaru grabbed the shinobi's wrist and twisted it. A scream resounded through the air. Cesomaru threw the human down and turned his attention to the others. "Now you see I'm serious about killing you," he said. "Lord Cesomaru," yelled the ever-missed Jaken. Cesomaru turned as he was about to kill the shinobi. "Jaken, what is going on?" he asked. "My lord, common demons are terrorizing the estate." Cesomaru narrowed his eyes. "Where is the child?" he asked. "Right here," Jaken said as he pulled back a blanket and revealed the small child which was sleeping. Cesomaru's eyes showed a bit of sadness before turning into rage. "Were they after him?" Jaken nodded. Cesomaru growled and disappeared. Jaken in tow. Cesomaru glanced back at the shinobi. "You got off easy this time." Cesomaru landed gracefully in front of the estate, and he scanned the grounds. Demons were covering the land. "Why now?" Cesomaru turned to Jaken. "Guard him," he said and disappeared. Cesomaru sliced through a demon. Blood splattered the ground. Cesomaru looked around more and saw a demon trying to make its way inside. He flexed his hand and a green whip shot out and stabbed through the demon's back, killing it. Cesomaru's eyes scanned around. 2 down. He saw 2 other demons near Jaken and the human child. He disappeared and reappeared in front of them with blood shooting out of their bodies. 4 down. Cesomaru looked up as a noise caught his hearing. A demon was lunging forward from the top, and he looked behind him and in front of him. Several were coming at him in the same instant. Cesomaru awaited them, and then he spun in a circle with his poison whip active. A/N, think of when he did it the first time with the wolves. The demons collided with it, and they were killed instantly. Blood fell like raindrops around Cesomaru. 4 more down. Cesomaru looked around. Demons were dispatched. Blood was splattered around the estate. Cesomaru looked behind him and Jaken was walking toward him with the child. "Where did they come from?" Jaken asked. Cesomaru did not answer. "Indeed. Where? How?" After Jaken had cleaned up the mess, they had been on alert. "Lord Cesomaru?" Jaken asked. "What is it? What do you plan to do with this child?" Cesomaru looked at the young child. "When I first came here, I had met the parents of the child and I was asked to look out for it. I was in debt to the man, Jaken," Cesomaru stated simply as he saw the confused look on the toad's face. "Oh, but now that these demons have found their way here, more will come. So instead of waiting for Naruto to turn 5, I might have to start sooner than I first thought. And it will be more difficult than I first anticipated as well, that I am sure of. As a vessel, he will learn the ways that demons are taught. The way I was taught." Jaken's eyes bulged. "Your way?" Jaken was not sure he wanted a mini Cesomaru. He was scared of the Cesomaru in front of him. With 2, he might not live to see the next morning. It will require intense training than these humans use. Father was persistent in teaching me, so I believe that this shall teach him to be more intellect and more positive, and less than what Inuyasha acts like. Cesomaru looked up, and in time he might even be as powerful as I. Chapter 3. It's been 4 years now. 4 years. Cesomaru looked at the young boy. The kid was already old enough to learn some of his abilities. Training had started some months after the kid's birthday had passed and Cesomaru was impressed by the boy's progress. He had learned to control his blue energy that most in that village called chakra, and he learned to use high-level ninjutsu as well, not because of the demon's chakra, but because even without the demon's chakra, his own chakra was at a high level. Cesomaru knew who the boy's father was and the mother, but not even the yandame had such chakra reserves as the boy did. So where did it come from? Cesomaru puzzled on the idea, but shook it off as the boy had some green energy forming around the center of his palm. Already? Cesomaru had decided to test how far the boy would progress, and as far as he saw, the boy had no limits. Cesomaru tested the levitating ability he had learned, and the boy learned it in just a week. It almost took Cesomaru himself a good 2 weeks. A whip crackling noise was heard. I see he is brighter than most would believe. The boy had acted just like an innocent child in town when Sesshomaru had taken him to find some more battle-fit clothing. He cowered behind Sesshomaru like a scared animal and acted as if he needed to rely on him. Sesshomaru knew it was foolish of him to act in such a way, but the boy still had a human's heart, to be feared for his power, or to be liked for being an idiot. Sesshomaru knew that he would need to break the child from that state of mind thinking. He would need to learn that not everything is perfect in life. It was pathetic and absurd, but then there was other problems that needed Sesshomaru's attention as well. Sesshomaru looked up from where he was sitting cross-legged under a cherry blossom tree, and he sighed. Naruto, he said. The boy turned to him. By his innocent-looking face, many would believe he had no care in the world, but looking deeper he was more mature than any person would believe, a trait he picked up from Sesshomaru. Yes? He asked. Sesshomaru raised his left hand and pointed a sharp nail at the boy's stance. Your stance is weak. Try it in a more perspective way, Sesshomaru said. Naruto looked up a moment, and then down at his body stance, and understanding swept over him. He nodded. I see, he said. He fixated his arms in front of him as if he was ready to guard against anything that came at him, and one leg was in front of the other in a sideways stance. Naruto closed his eyes and then they reopened, but this time there was a bit of sweat running down his face. Sesshomaru looked at him. What did he see? What was it? Sesshomaru asked. Naruto stood still. An evil aura and a pair of red eyes. What is it? Sesshomaru sighed as he stood up. That was the Kyuubi, Naruto, Sesshomaru stated. Naruto's eyes slightly widened. The demon that was here before? He asked. Yes. That same demon inhabits your body. Naruto looked down. Why didn't you tell me before? He asked, as if betrayed. Because in order for you to control that great force, you must bear some burdens alone, and being you and I are the same, I believe I am the only one who can help you with the power of the demon, Sesshomaru said. Naruto bit his bottom lip, drawing some blood. Fine. But how do you know that it was me that it was sealed into? It could contact me through some other force. No, I know this because I was there when it attacked and when it was sealed. I am not mistaken. Neither should you deny the fact that you might have some power at your will, when the time comes. Naruto then smirked. Well, if I am to harness power that belongs to that demon, I might as well get to know the fuzzball. How can I talk with it? Naruto asked. Sesshomaru was quiet a moment. That is for you to decide. All it is like is meditating. Naruto watched as Sesshomaru walked up to him. Although I would like to have a small talk with it as well, he said. Naruto nodded. That would be the perfect time to get a few answers. Naruto sat on the ground next to Sesshomaru, cross-legged. Here it goes. Naruto, do not get too trusting. Sesshomaru had seen how the boy had a trusting heart, and it would be a problem if the boy learned to trust too many people. Both closed their eyes and closed the real world out. Drip, drip. So this is your mind, Sesshomaru said. He looked around and was amused at the fact that Naruto's mind was a sewer. Hey, it is not my fault. I didn't even know that I could do this in the first place. Naruto defended himself. Both walked through his mind until they came to a darker part of the sewer. Laughter. Ominous. 2 pairs of red eyes opened and looked down at the two of them. It revealed its teeth and grinned evilly. So you finally know. I'm guessing the dog over there finally found it appropriate to say now, eh? The demon asked. Sesshomaru glared at it. Look, Kitsune, I want answers on why you attacked, and why the hell you are referring to Sesshomaru like that, Naruto said. The demon looked at him. What a runt you are. I am grateful the dog trained your feeble body after all. You might have been even more puny than you are now. Naruto sensed some killer intent at the kitsune. Why is it referring to Sesshomaru as a dog? Sesshomaru's hand was twitching. That demon would pay one way or another, answered the question. Sesshomaru said. The demon looked at him. Now I remember. You are the one who helped that pathetic human to seal me here in this wimpy child's stomach. The demon growled. Sesshomaru nodded. And to inform you, the seal here binds you both in death, Sesshomaru said. The demon's eyes narrowed. Little twit. I should kill you, but as it is now, this damned seal is preventing me from touching your worthless carcass. Sesshomaru glared at it. He knew that if he killed the kitsune, Naruto would die as well. Sesshomaru sighed. Do you have anything to do with those demons 4 years ago? Sesshomaru questioned. No. Did you? It shot back. Sesshomaru looked up and shook his head. Worthless demon. Enough. I still haven't heard of what forced you to come here anyway, Naruto said. The kitsune stared at him. I might as well. Since you are going to be using my power soon and I'll be healing that body of yours, I think this should enlighten you. The demon's eyes narrowed some. A man by the name of Uchiha Madara if it weren't for that bastard and his clan head, anyway, you know the rest. The demon concluded. Sesshomaru was thinking on what the demon said and he nodded. Right after Naruto had arrived at the estate, I had heard that a human who went by the name had defected. And he had eyes that forced others to be his pawns. Naruto listened quietly. So he had missed out on a lot. But not forever. He would learn the real truth behind everything. So are you two meat chops done? I have a nap that I have scheduled, the demon said. Sesshomaru and Naruto both stood up and turned. Very well. If that is all you know, then we will take our leave, Sesshomaru said. TCH. The demon scoffed. Fucking fuzzball. Naruto mumbled. Both the demon and Sesshomaru looked at him. What? He asked. Sesshomaru closed his eyes as he led the way out. I will start to teach you tomorrow that using those words are not allowable, Sesshomaru said. The demon laughed, and both left Naruto's mind. Chapter 4. Sesshomaru watched as his apprentice practiced his levitating. He was again amazed that it took the boy just 1 month to fully master it. Sesshomaru pondered the idea if he inherited his father's intellect. Now that he thought of it, the fox demon's chakra and Naruto's were merging slowly. He had not seen it at first, but as the days passed by, he could see the changes and power emanating from the boy. And this is just the beginning. Sesshomaru had hoped that he could find a way to get back to his world, but with Naruto and the situation, he highly doubted he could leave without coming back with some bloodshed. And not from the villagers' side either. Naruto had changed much during his training and time with Sesshomaru, and he now had the same personality as him. Sesshomaru was proud that the boy grew out of the state he was in 5 years earlier. At least that was out of his mind. Now he had one objective left: find his way to his real world. Sesshomaru stood. Naruto, you stay here and keep practicing. I will return shortly. Naruto turned. His features betrayed his real age. He looked older than a 9-year-old. He wore clothing that resembled people from Sesshomaru's own time. He had a black top on with a Chinese dragon curled on the back of it. And he wore hakami pants. Where are you going? Naruto asked. A walk. I want to see what's been going on around here since we last had seen it. Humph, fools as these change things that it's repulsive. Sesshomaru muttered the AST part, but he knew Naruto heard him. Jaken. Sesshomaru said. Toad jumped from his resting place and bowed before Sesshomaru. Yes, my lord? Sesshomaru looked ahead and continued on. Stand guard. Don't let anyone inside the residence, Sesshomaru said. Jaken nodded. Of course, I shall not disappoint you. Naruto rolled his eyes. Kiss up, he muttered. Sesshomaru silently agreed. If he said for the toad to jump off a cliff, he would without question. Sesshomaru had thought of telling the toad to do so, but then he would have more trouble with other matters. So keeping Jaken was both a curse and blessing, a curse more or less. And while I'm gone, Naruto is in charge here, Sesshomaru said. Jaken's mouth hit the ground. But my lord dash. Sesshomaru glared at him. Why yes, Lord Sesshomaru. Sesshomaru looked at the village. He could tell that almost the entire town had changed since the sealing. Not that he cared, but seeing things go from one thing to the other annoyed him. Watching out for a human boy and a toad was enough on his plate. Sesshomaru looked up at the large mountain behind the tower. He saw the face of the fourth Hokage. Sesshomaru then looked back to the residence. He knew he would have to tell the boy who his parents were. It's him, he heard a voice say. Sesshomaru looked ahead. He's the one, the demon. Sesshomaru looked at them, and they turned away. Sesshomaru's hand twitched. What he wouldn't give to put a hole through their chests. But that wasn't what he was there for. He needed to speak with the Sandaime. When I can, I'll find a way to the Sengoku period and return with Naruto, and then the real test begins. Sesshomaru looked down. He saw a sparkle. He narrowed his eyes and he examined it. He picked it up. He looked at it closer. A jewel fragment from the Jewel of Four Souls. How did it end up here? He mused. Sesshomaru then thought of something. Of course. Naruto watched as Jaken paced around the estate. A smirk came to his face. Jaken, he said. The toad looked at him. Why don't you just go to sleep? I can watch out for the estate, Naruto said. Jaken humphed and crossed his arms. Like you could. Lord Sesshomaru told me to watch it, not you. Naruto rubbed his head some. Annoying little imp. Why couldn't I go with Sesshomaru and just leave the toad here alone? Sometimes I think Sesshomaru likes to torture me. Naruto walked to the lake and sat down. He looked down at the reflection and sighed. He didn't have the whisker marks like he did 5 years earlier. He had a more mature face and personality. Better clothes and training. He had people or demons to call his family. So he had everything he needed. What can I do for you, Lord Sesshomaru? Sandaime asked, putting his pipe away, fully aware that Sesshomaru hated the smell of that type of aroma. Sesshomaru looked at him, neutral. I know that you know who Naruto's parents are. And you have some of the scrolls, he said. Sandame's eyes widened slightly. How do you know? I know because I was acquainted with the yandame. He told me that he had scrolls and that he wanted me to give them to Naruto when he reached a certain age. He is 9 now. I plan to tell him of his heritage later on this evening, so I want the scrolls. Hiruzen looked at Sesshomaru. He could see that the demon was honest, not that he would tell him that. I cannot give them to you. It is vital that Naruto be very well versed in training and have enough power to defend himself. Sesshomaru clenched his fist. Humans. And Inuyasha and his group wonder why I hate them. This human is especially getting on my nerves. I have the will that Yandame left before his death. The ones who are entrusted with the boy. Sesshomaru said as he revealed a white piece of paper. Sandaime stood up with wide eyes. That's the will? He asked. After all this time, I thought that the Yandame didn't leave one. How and why did he entrust it with him? Sesshomaru is no family member. The only one who should have guardianship is Jiraiya. But, Sesshomaru opened the paper and it revealed the guardianship. I entrust my son with 2 people as his guardians. Only they can withdraw our scrolls and accounts. Anything of ours they can take out without any interference. I entrust Naruto Namikaze with his 2 guardians Sesshomaru and Jiraiya of the Sannin. Minato Namikaze Yandame, so it's true. Hiruzen mumbled. He sat down and sighed. Very well. He stood and did a few hand signs and a door appeared. Sesshomaru raised an eyebrow. Follow me, the Sandaime said. Sesshomaru did. Sesshomaru looked at the scrolls and nodded. And one more thing, I am returning to my own village and I am taking Naruto with me. There I can teach him more there. So I want you to have some ninja watch the estate while we are gone. I have seen some villagers attempt to get inside. Hiruzen nodded. I know someone who will follow orders. But how long will Naruto be gone? Sesshomaru walked to the door. That I cannot answer. You will know when you see us. Or if I find an alternation. Sesshomaru said as he left. Sesshomaru looked at the residence, and then walked inside. He saw Naruto meditating and knew that he was speaking with the demon. The 2 of them had grown close as friends the past few years. How? He never looked at Jaken. Jaken, start getting our things together. We are to leave Konoha by nightfall, he said as he sat under a cherry blossom tree. Yes, my lord, we're leaving? Naruto asked. Sesshomaru nodded. Yes. I have found a way to get back to the Sengoku period. Naruto looked surprised. Really? I plan to teach you some things there as well. That world is even bigger challenge than this village. There are demons who run loose, half-breeds and many others, priestesses as well. Tread carefully with the priestess though. But we will stay there for a few years and then we might return. How many years? Naruto asked. It depends. But it could be anywhere between 2 to 4 years. Naruto nodded. That's plenty enough time to finish all of the training. Sesshomaru raised his hand and threw the scroll to Naruto. Naruto easily caught it. What is this? A scroll from your father? Sesshomaru stated simply. Naruto seemed surprised. My father? You knew him? I did. He told me to give this to you when you become of age. Who is he? Minato Namikaze. Or as you know him, the Yandame. Naruto's eyes widened. It can't be. Can it? How can he be my father? He paused. My mother? Kushina Namikaze. Sesshomaru then looked up. Your father wanted me to tell you when you were older, but I find it better this way. Naruto tightened his grip on the scroll. All right. Let's get going then. Sesshomaru smirked. You will indeed grow strong, Naruto. Chapter 5. Naruto looked at a merchant who was selling katanas. He walked to the counter and looked at the swords. They were elegant and pricey. Are these the real deal? He asked. The man nodded with pride. Yep. Took me years to gather all of these beautiful katanas. Beauty don't come cheap, kid. Naruto scowled. He looked around and then spotted a sword which he liked. It was a double-edged longsword, slim, yet large and slender at the same time. The blade itself was a pure onyx black, but at its very edges, the faintest trace of red could be seen. The hilt itself was inlaid with a red dragon's crest, against the entwined black wrapping of the hilt, and its scabbard was black and had a belt. And this one? Naruto asked, walking up to it. The man smiled. That, my boy, is called the Blood-Red Dragon or the Ketsueki Gozai Doragon. Naruto looked at it and smiled. I'll take it. How much? The man seemed shocked a moment but caught on. 900.00 yen altogether. Naruto smiled and pulled out a pearl necklace and laid it in the man's hands and nodded. That is a genuine necklace. It is worth much more than what you know. About 5 carats in each pearl. But it's worth it for this blade. The man looked at the necklace. He aged a small smile on his face. Well, thanks, kid. Great doing business with ya. Naruto nodded and took the sword and strapped it to his hip and went to meet Sesshomaru, who raised an eyebrow at his choice of sword. It's elegant, was his simple reply to Sesshomaru's questioning gaze. Sesshomaru sighed and they continued. And how are we getting to the Sengoku period? Naruto asked, walking in strut with Sesshomaru. Sesshomaru remained silent for a moment, and then he pulled out a small purple jewel from his yukata. Naruto looked at it. You once told me of that, Naruto said, taking the jewel and examining it carefully. Is this not a fragment of the Jewel of Four Souls? Sesshomaru nodded. Naruto handed him the fragment back. It is. It somehow landed here. How I do not know. Naruto looked back at Jaken. Jaken, how is everything coming along? He asked. Said Toad looked to him and sent him a glare, and then growled some at the young blonde. He then stopped when he almost lost some of the baggage. He had beads of sueta running down his face. Peachy. I feel like I can take on the world, he said, rather sarcastically. Naruto smiled. That's nice, he said. Sesshomaru sighed quietly. I raised this kid with sarcasm? At least he is not as bad as that half-breed. Sesshomaru stopped. Here, he said simply. This is where the journey begins. He pulled out the fragment, and then he raised it up and a bit of light shone through it. This is where I first arrived here. There is some special gravity force here that enabled the jewel to retain its power and stay here. A priestess can harness its power, but some like demons cannot harness the full and control power like a priestess can, but close enough. But when it opens a portal, we will be sucked inside it, and then it will take us to the Sengoku period, right where I vanished. Sesshomaru looked to Jaken. And the same as for you, Jaken, you had come through it when you had came near a fragment with that same gravitational force. Jaken gulped. What does that mean, my lord? He asked. It means that wherever you were at the time, you will return to that same spot, prior to your disappearance. Sesshomaru said, noticing the jewel fragment was reacting. And Naruto? Where will he land? Jaken asked, deeply hoping he would end up where some demons were, and they would eat him, or have someone like Kagura kill him. He didn't really care, just as long as the blonde-headed boy died. Sesshomaru sensed the hostility, and directed his eyes to Jaken. Naruto will end up where I am. Since he has yet to experience the Sengoku period, he will end up with the first one to go. Jaken's hope diminished. Naruto smiled lightly. What's the matter, Jaken? Sad because I am not accompanying you? Don't worry, I'm sure you can find your way before you're eaten, he said, waving his hand in dismissal. Jaken glared at the teen. A bit of power pierced the air and a bit of sparks appeared next to the jewel and a bit of the power from it opened a portal as Sesshomaru said. Sesshomaru motioned for Naruto to follow him, who did so. Sesshomaru walked through the blackness and Naruto in tow while leaving the toad to catch up. After they went through, the portal closed. Sesshomaru stared ahead, neutral. They had gone through but he had thought there would be a catch. But they went through and then appeared right in front of a large two-headed dragon. Just like that. Sesshomaru said, not sure what to make of the portal. He turned and saw Naruto looking at the scenery. I warn you to stay clear of villages though, Naruto, Sesshomaru said as he walked to a tree and sat down, awaiting the green eyesore to appear. Why? Naruto asked, his curiosity piqued. Because villages are naive and only see what they believe. Meaning that if you entered a village, they would suspect you of being a demon. Naruto shrugged. Nothing different than what I went through in Konoha, he said. Lord Cesomaru. Jaken yelled as he appeared out of nowhere with a small demon charging him. Well, small in Sesshomaru and Naruto's perspectives. Naruto rubbed his ears. Kami, can you shut up? He breathed, hoping the toad would just off and die sometimes. Sesshomaru stood up and swiftly dealt with the demon with his poison claws. With a screech, the demon vanished. Jaken sighed and slumped down to the ground. He held his staff close to himself. Thank you, my lord, he said in gratitude. Sesshomaru just grunted and walked away. My lord? Jaken asked. Watch the dragon, he stated as he disappeared. Jaken saluted him. As he was about to sit back down, he spotted Naruto rubbing the twin dragons on the head. A purr echoed through them and he nudged closer. Jaken sputtered and then clenched his teeth. Naruto! Those beasts are off limits, he screeched. Naruto turned and looked at the toad. You are really strict. They are no harm, Jaken. So shut up, he said, almost sounding like a smaller version of Sesshomaru. The last part sounded like Sesshomaru, but the previous sentences were his own. You moron! Well fine, if they chew your hand off, don't say I didn't warn you, he said, turning with a smirk on his face. Naruto just shrugged and continued what he was doing. Sesshomaru could sense it. He could feel the aura of Naraku nearby and knew that the moronic half-demon was concocting something. He was never wrong, and this time Naraku had a plan for something which Sesshomaru wanted to obliterate beforehand. Worthless. He turned and walked back to his small group. He had time to stop Naraku. The question was, how long? Naruto raised his head and looked toward a small village. It was evergreen. Sure, the forest was green, but it was greener in the village. But he then felt a spike. Like concealed power, something like Sesshomaru's power. Naruto looked over to Jaken, who was taking a small nap. Naruto smiled. Perfect. Just what I was hoping. Naruto stood up from the tree he was leaning against and turned to the village. A small growl caught his attention. He turned and saw the dragon looking at him. He raised a finger and put it to his mouth and told them to be quiet. The beasts complied and laid their heads back down. Naruto then proceeded to the village. Sesshomaru sensed Inuyasha nearby. He continued back to his group. He had come to understandings with his father's decision. He had to accept that his father chose him to hold the Tenseiga and Inuyasha the Tetseiga. But he had also learned that he could have other more important necessities than Inuyasha could at his apparent persona. Sesshomaru smiled some at that, but had no need for the Tetseiga anymore. But that old man, his name Totosai, was another thing that annoyed him. Sure, he pressured the old bat, but he had good reasons. Sesshomaru had a short patience before he had met the yandere of Konoha. It changed him some, not a lot, but enough to open his eyes on things as his patience. He had shown more patience when he was raising young Naruto from a baby, which proved he had gained more patience, and if he hadn't, he would have killed the boy. Sesshomaru stopped as he looked at the toad who was sleeping and the dragon who was sleeping as well. Sesshomaru searched the area for Naruto. He sensed him, but he didn't see him. Sesshomaru ran to Jaken. Sesshomaru then looked down, spotting a rock and then chunking it at Jaken's head. Said toad jumped with terror and an ouch, and then saw Sesshomaru. He had a large lump on his head. Lord Sesshomaru, he squeaked. Where is Naruto? Sesshomaru asked. Jaken looked around. Well, he was here when I fell asleep. He started to check everywhere. Jaken stopped his searching and slowly turned to Sesshomaru. When I told you to watch things, I did not mean fall asleep. I should kill you. At this, Jaken jumped and started to hyperventilate. But looking for him is first priority. If he is injured or dead, you better have a will ready, Sesshomaru warned as he walked in the direction that Naruto's scent led to. Naruto looked around as people stared at him. He saw some little children playing around a woman with a white kimono top and red hakama pants. She had her hair tied back. Naruto watched as she smiled at the children. You, a voice said. Naruto turned to see a man with a crate in his hands. Move it! Naruto moved and then looked back and saw just the children. Naruto blinked and then shook his head, continuing his walk. Weird. 1 minute she's there, and the next she's not. Wonder who she was. Young man, do you seek someone? An elderly woman asked, wearing the same clothing as the woman he had seen just moments ago. Naruto shook his head. The woman had an eye patch over one of her eyes. I see. You are not a commoner. Might I ask who you are? What a weird accent. This old crone has some weird traits. Naruto. I am a mercenary. The woman's eyes slightly narrowed. A mercenary, you say? What business does a mercenary have here? She asked. Naruto looked around. Nothing. I'm just sightseeing. This village sure is peaceful. He then paused. You never said your name. Kid. I am the priestess of this village. Naruto's eyes slightly narrowed. A priestess? Well, that is you are unexpected. Who knew I would come across a priestess in just a few minutes? That is a nice way to start things off. A priestess? How interesting. I suppose you have no business here, then why carry a weapon? Naruto saw her eyes, or rather eye, travel down to his sword. Naruto placed a hand on it. He held onto the red hilt and unsheathed it. My sword, the blood-red dragon. Or Ketsueki Gozai Doragon. It wasn't cheap. 900.00 yen. I had to give him some genuine pearls for it, which had several carats in each one, worth more. But I liked this sword and I bought it. Quite worth it if you asked me. Besides, will all the unscrupulous sorts running around, be they demon, human or otherwise, running about, one can't afford not be careful. Kid stared at the sword. It was a real beauty, all right, and no doubt had subtle hits when used in combat. I see. Kid! A young girl's voice called. Both turned and saw a young girl with black hair and weird clothing on, running to the woman. We need your help, she said, slowing down. Kid nodded. Kagome, is it Inuyasha? The girl known as Kagome nodded. Inuyasha is so rash about his plans. Kid muttered under her breath as she turned. Come Kagome, let's go see what happened. Right. Kid looked at Naruto. And ye come as well? I have something to ask ye. Naruto raised an eyebrow but complied. He was also curious about seeing a priestess, even if he was to see Sesshomaru's half-brother. Chapter 6. Walking inside the small hut, Naruto saw several humans. He then felt the presence of a half-demon. His eyes landed on the guy who was grumbling incoherent words as he sat cross-legged like Sesshomaru often did and had his arms crossed. Kid was tending to his wounds. I'm telling you they'll be healed soon, damn it! The guys cursed. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Inuyasha. Kagome scolded. Kid is trying to help you. At least be grateful. Naruto watched the bickering go on between the two until Kid finished, and stood up wiping her brow. She sighed. Inuyasha. You need to be more careful. That wound had poison inside it. Poison? Kagome questioned, still not seeing the young blonde who was at the doorway and was leaning against it. I have cures for it. She finished. You may have. But this poison is specially concocted. It is good I stored some of this rather old medicine, she said, sitting down and looking to the young blonde. Ah, young mercenary, come in. I still have some questions for ye. The others directed their gaze to Naruto, who was walking inside. Inuyasha, Naruto noted, was resting a hand on the hilt of the Tetseiga. Rest assured, Inuyasha, this mercenary here is not harmful as I know. Kid finished, looking at the Hanyu. Inuyasha never lifted his hand. So Kid, what do you wish to know? Not much is known about me though. Kid nodded. The group who had come in had directed their attention to the newcomer. Ah yes. Ye have told me you work as a mercenary. But whom do you work for? Naruto smiled some. At this, Inuyasha tensed, ready to fight. That is one I cannot answer, seeing being a mercenary causes who I'm employed by to change depending on my goals. But I will try to answer the others. Naruto replied. Inuyasha then sniffed the air. His eyes widened and he stood, gaining everyone's attention. Inuyasha? Kagome questioned. Inuyasha directed a hard gaze to the blonde and growled, You have Sesshomaru's scent on you. Why? Naruto seemed to remain neutral. Inuyasha frowned. This guy, are you sure it's his? Or are you mixing it up with another demon scent? The blonde asked. Inuyasha already hated him. Answer me, damn it. Do you work for Cesomaru? Naruto laughed some, turning to Inuyasha. What? You trying to pick a fight, Hanyu? Naruto questioned, knowing full well that Inuyasha hated it when humans and demons alike called him that. And he was right. Inuyasha had a look of hate on his face. You bastard! Inuyasha lunged at him, pulling out the Tetsusaiga and swinging the giant blade, aiming for Naruto's head. Naruto leapt back and away and gracefully landed on the ground outside. Inuyasha won not to be shown upcharged as he let out a battle cry and attacked, swinging in different directions, and each time the blonde easily dodged to the other side, and landing a kick to his stomach. Inuyasha flew backwards, landing on his back, and his sword was implanted in the ground next to him by centimeters. Why do these reflexes seem so familiar? Come on, Hanyu. You started this fight and that's the best you've got. Don't start what you can't settle. Naruto taunted. He enjoyed the look Inuyasha gave him. Somehow he knew Inuyasha was itching to end his life. But still he enjoyed the torture. Maybe it was the way he pestered Jaken most of the time? Hell, they both had the shortest tempers he'd seen. I'm gonna kick your ass! Inuyasha roared, charging once again. Naruto mentally laughed. Oh, I see. Very well, I think it is time I show you my skills. But first, I think a bit of teasing is at hand. Naruto raised his right hand, grabbing Inuyasha's wrist, and his hand then started to glow green and poison sunk into Inuyasha's wrist. Inuyasha jerked away from Naruto to relinquish his hold. Inuyasha jumped back, shock evident on his face. How do you know that move? Naruto remained silent. But then smiled. Sesshomaru wasn't my sensei for nothing, he said simply. Inuyasha then growled. He raised his sword. Naruto clicked his tongue. You plan to use the Kaze no Kiza on me, do you not? Inuyasha seemed shocked yet again. How do you know about it? I do happen to hear what Sesshomaru says about that sword and its abilities. Although you may have Inutasho's sword, I think I can last with my blade as well, he said, pulling the elegant sword out. It shimmered in the sunlight. Ketsueki Gozai Doragon is a tough blade. Let's test our powers, he said, getting into a stance. Inuyasha sneered. Fine. Sesshomaru stood on the hill outside the small village. He had a frown on his face. It would seem Naruto has encountered Inuyasha. Their scents are mixed, and their auras are seemingly fighting. This is quite a surprise. Sesshomaru continued toward the village. He had to witness his pupil's strength against his half-brother. Something to amuse himself with. Sesshomaru smiled some. That had the attention of the toad who was following. Jaken gulped. Oh dear, when Lord Sesshomaru smiles it would seem to be time to get a move on. At least it's not me he's smiling at. Right, clashes of metal was heard. Flashes were barely seen as figures collided with each other. Grunts and feet running as well. It was indeed a battle that the Inuyasha gang knew would leave some scars. Kagome sighed. How can Inuyasha fight that boy? With those wounds he should be resting. He's got charisma, Sango said, and a hard head. Both Shippo and Naroku said in unison. Kid chuckled. Inuyasha has some quarrel with young Uzumaki. I have not heard of a Naruto Uzumaki. What of ye, Kagome? Kagome shook her head. I thought not. Inuyasha had better watch out for him. This boy has power. They all could agree. Damn it! How can I be matched so easily with a punk like him? Inuyasha dodged the poison whip. And that damned whip, damn you Sesshomaru! Teaching some brat like him. Inuyasha raised his sword. Kaze no Keizu. Ah, so you are using this. Fine with me. It's good I studied the new sword of mine. Raising his own weapon, Naruto spoke, Jushiketsueki Memori. Rising blood defense, a large phantom of a red eastern dragon appeared. It had a shield attached to its arms, and shielded the young blonde from the attack. The attack died down. Inuyasha stood, stunned. My Kaze no Kiza was blocked how? Naruto deactivated his technique. I told you. I have mastered my sword some. I know techniques to block out even the strongest attacks. But seeing as it draws on my own energy to use, as I use it more, it weakens me and it weakens as well. Inuyasha cursed under his breath. Naruto again raised his sword. Let's finish this, Hanyu. I have a technique that can take you out easily since you have no defense, and it is impossible for you to dodge. It is called the Sotibara no Heichur. Now let's. Stop it! A new voice yelled. Both fighters turned, meeting the form of Kagome. Stop this! This is nonsense! Inuyasha, you don't even know this guy. Why do you want to fight him just because he's traveling with Sesshomaru? Naruto raised an eyebrow. And you? How dare you come here and say all that stuff and then try to kill Inuyasha? Kagome was red from her yelling. Stop this before someone dies. Hey, he started this. How's it my fault he attacked me first? I swear, he's the one who needs to learn how to keep from starting pointless fights. But I'll do as you ask, Naruto said as he sheathed Ketsueki. Yes. Stop the senseless fighting, Hanyu. Before you get killed. A cool and quiet voice said. A figure appeared from the trees. Sesshomaru. What took you so long to find me? Naruto questioned, not turning to face the demon lord. Sesshomaru smirked. You have had some entertainment, Naruto. Although I would have preferred if you had waited a while before confronting Inuyasha like you did, Sesshomaru said, although he had felt some pride when the blonde had almost defeated the Hanyu. And to think this is just the first part of his powers. Naruto finally turned. So, we are leaving? Sesshomaru nodded. Naruto followed Sesshomaru as he walked toward the trees. Wait! Naruto stopped. He looked over his shoulder to see Kagome. I never caught your full name, she said, lying some. Naruto remained quiet for a moment and then answered. Naruto Uzumaki. And then Sesshomaru, and the kid disappeared. Kagome! Inuyasha! The others yelled as they made their way to the two. Where is the blonde? Miroka asked. He left with Sesshomaru. Inuyasha replied, gritting his teeth. Something was wrong. He knew it. There was something with that kid. It was the way he had held himself, and the way he fought that drove Inuyasha's thoughts in that direction. Somehow he had hoped that he was wrong about the kid, but he knew what humans were like when they gained a lot of power. And if Sesshomaru kept training the boy someday, the kid would turn on him. Inuyasha? Kagome asked. Let's go. We need to find the rest of the jewel shards. Lord Sesshomaru. Naruto. Jaken called, making his way to them. Lord Sesshomaru, where did you disappear to? Sesshomaru walked past him and Naruto smirked. Sesshomaru ditched him. Ha, I love it. Well, where are we heading to? Naruto questioned, looking at Sesshomaru. North of this village is a volcano crater. A demon lives there that could tell us some things. That sword of yours, Sesshomaru looked at the katana. We will need to find out more about it. Its origin for one. But for now, we will continue with the rest of your training as we search for Naraku. Right. Walking to a large tree, Sesshomaru pondered the idea of what Naruto's sword was capable of. At first glance, it seemed like an ordinary katana with no special functions. Sesshomaru watched the blonde train. I now sense that aura emanating from it. Something about it seems to have a mind of its own. Almost like the Soanga. It possessed an individual mind of an evil demon. Does this Katsueki Gozai Doragon possess a demon? If so, then can Naruto sense th demon's presence or aura? Sesshomaru grunted. Naruto, Jaken, come. He walked on, hearing the others follow. So, this volcanic crater is inhabited by a demon? Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. Sesshomaru nodded. He forged the Tenseiga and Tetsusaiga from my father's fangs. This particular demon is a swordsmith. Naruto seemed surprised. He smirked some. So you think the swordsmith can tell us the origin of my sword? Yes. Sesshomaru stopped in front of a small cottage-like home. Todosai. I know you are here. A gruff voice was heard as someone rushed around. Naruto smirked. Either this guy has a sugar rush or he's afraid of Sesshomaru. No doubt the latter. Ah. Sesshomaru. What do you want here? The old man asked as he appeared. Todosai. Naruto here has a sword that has special abilities. I want you to find its origins. Todosai blinked. He hummed, rubbing his head with his fingers and looked upward. And why should I? Because I won't kill you. Nope. Sorry, no good. But still, hey boy, let me see that sword. Naruto blanched at being called boy. He pulled his sword from its sheath and handed it to the swordsmith. Ah, so, where did you get this pretty blade? From a cellar back in a different town. Naruto said. Todosai examined it slowly and turned it over. Nice. And I bet it cost a pretty penny. And an ugly one too. Jaken muttered. Naruto rolled his eyes. If my SD had cost something ugly, I've traded you to get it, you damned bug-eyed toad. Anyway. Why do you want me to look at it? I'm not exactly the only swordsmith around here. I know I forged those two swords, but still, tracing the history of swords is not exactly my thing. You might want to take this to the person who gave it to you and ask them where they found it, and then you should find the origin. Sesshomaru sighed. Worthless. Naruto took back his sword, sheathing it. Thanks for nothing. Great, what now? Todosai turned. By the way, I never heard its name. The Katsueki Gozai Doragon. Naruto replied, tiring of telling everyone the name. Somehow it was annoying. Todosai let out a gasp. You mean it's Dash? No. It can't be, are you sure? You should have told me the first time. He snatched the sword back and looked at it with admiration. Surely, this blade now he had Sesshomaru and Naruto's attention. What? Naruto asked. This blade was used by a demon lord long ago. His name was Toshiro Masashi. Not much is known about his life except that he ruled much of many lands. He was a protector, and he treasured many if not all fellow demons. Toshiro was an unwavering fellow. I had hoped to meet him when I was younger, but sadly, his death ended that dream. Totosai sighed. How did he die? Naruto asked. Well, he died when he was fighting another demon lord from the Eternal Lands. The other demon had some of his followers endanger Toshiro's followers, and Toshiro was killed when he protected them. The Eastern demon lord had pulled the Ketsueki on him and stabbed him while he was fighting the others. A sad end for such a power and intelligent lord. Naruto smiled some. That means I possess a demon lord sword that's new. Maybe that answers the questions about some guy named Toshiro who's been speaking to me through the sword. Totosai and Sesshomaru froze. Something the matter? Naruto asked. You speak with Toshiro through the sword? Totosai asked. Yes. His spirit is linked to it, so he said, and I am the new owner. He said that great power sleeps within me and he wants it to awaken. Sesshomaru pondered that idea. Power is a formidable adversary. It can be an ally or your worst enemy. It depends on how you handle it. That may be a good thing for you. Well, my job is done. You take care of Toshiro Masashi's legendary sword, you hear? And do not abuse the power he gives you. Totosai then disappeared. Sesshomaru stared at the katana. In the meantime, I will keep a close watch for this. Something might come up. I do not want to make a grave mistake. One slip-up can kill. So you are training with that Toshiro lord? Sesshomaru asked. Naruto nodded. Yes, that would explain how you knew those techniques. And you did not read it from a book, did you? No. Toshiro wanted me to keep quiet. He said that some of his enemies were still alive that hated him, and he wanted the truth to be kept hidden. Sesshomaru nodded. Of course, that would explain everything. The stances, the techniques, knowledge, and even his aura. The aura was not acting up from Naruto, it was acting up from the demon lord himself. Sesshomaru turned. Let's go. We have one more stop to make. And the trio made their way to the next village. Chapter 7. Naruto looked around. The new area had him alerted and he had sensed demons near. It seemed that they had smelled him near and were coming. Naruto was prepared. He had taken a walk through the forest as Sesshomaru went ahead and left Jaken to find camp supplies. So, that being said, Naruto had bargained of doing something active while the others had done their own business. Which now led Naruto to the forest. Naruto laid a hand on the hilt of his katana. Come on, you bastards, he muttered. He knew they were ambushing him. It was the same with Konoha. They had all teamed up and took him down when he was in his youth, and that alone made him release killer intent. Still, it would take a lot more than that to scare away some pathetic demons. Naruto had hoped to be someone in Konoha, but it just didn't work out. Now he had Sesshomaru and Jaken. Although not the comfort he had once before thought of having, but now he doesn't care. He had never really pondered the idea of what they were to him. At times, Naruto could see Sesshomaru as a brother of sorts, and then there are the times when Sesshomaru gets that look in his eyes like in Konoha. Naruto had seen fathers give their sons. Naruto couldn't decipher what Sesshomaru was to him. But Jaken was the ever-annoying caretaker. Naruto turned his attention to some growling behind the trees. A large boar-like demon appeared. It was snarling and had foam at its mouth. Naruto could only guess that the demon hadn't had any food for some time. Morsel. A tasty meal to fulfill my heart's content. It growled out, then the boar laughed. You intend to fight me? Well, this is quite humorous. It launched itself towards Naruto. Naruto unsheathed his sword and dodged. The demon turned. Worthless. Naruto muttered. He disappeared, then behind the demon, he pierced it through the spine. A loud cry of pain was heard throughout the forest. The demon fell to the ground. Naruto wiped the blood from his sword along the dirt, and then sheathed it. I'm no ordinary human, he said, delivering the finishing blow to the demon, taking its head. Sesshomaru looked up. What is Naruto's scent doing mixed in with blood? Wait, did he encounter demons? Sesshomaru directed his attention to Inuyasha, who was standing opposite of him. Sesshomaru kept up his stance. He can take care of himself. For now, I need to finish the Hanyu. Naruto sighed. That's just what I needed. He turned. There were several demons there, standing there. Naruto frowned. This damn forest is infested with them. Are they that starving to come after even me? Damn. Naruto unsheathed his sword. Suddenly, the ground started to tremble. All the demons started to panic like frightened animals and they scattered. Naruto looked up to see a large demon. It was a pitch-black color, and was bearing teeth larger than the average demon. It at least stood 100 feet tall high. Naruto furrowed his eyebrows. Perfect. I kill one demon, then more come, and now I get the biggest of the whole pack. This isn't good. The demon growled. You killed the boar demon, and now you intend to kill my followers? You dishonor me. Naruto scowled darkly. Me? Kill his followers? It's called self-defense. This demon seems civilized, but still how powerful can it be? A pulse from Katsueki alerted Naruto. Naruto looked down to it. Be careful, Naruto. This is no ordinary demon. It's one of a kind. I prefer you to just run, since this demon has no data. The only thing that distinguishes what it is the size. So, just don't battle it. I can handle this demon, Toshiro. Do you realize the danger you might be in if you battle an entity that you know nothing of? You could be wounded badly or even be killed. Do not push your luck this way, Toshiro spoke. Naruto looked to the demon. I'll battle him and keep an eye out for anything suspicious. Naruto replied, taking a stance. The demon laughed. Come, human. Let me break your bones and grind them into dust. Well, come and try. Sesshomaru sheathed his sword. Inuyasha was standing still, but Sesshomaru had other plans. Sesshomaru turned. Inuyasha lowered the Tetseiga and yelled, Hey, Sesshomaru, where are you going? Sesshomaru then disappeared in a blue light. Damn him! Inuyasha cursed. He felt insulted. Sesshomaru just walked away and didn't even utter a word. Was he that weak in his eyes? Not that he could care, but still he had things to do. And to defeat Naraku, he had to gain power. Not even Sesshomaru would stop that. Naruto dodged and aimed toward his head and landed on a tree branch. The demon wasn't bad. Naruto sheathed Katsueki and then flexed his hands. He disappeared. The demon looked around. Where'd he go? Right here. Naruto slashed the demon across the right side of its face, leaving claw marks. The demon recoiled in pain. Naruto then smirked, landing on the ground. The demon then fell to the ground. Naruto took a hesitant step forward. The demon then looked up. Got you! Naruto's eyes widened. The demon slammed its tail against Naruto, slamming him against several trees. Naruto hit a large boulder and slid down against it, breathing heavily. He had some bruises and a bit of blood on him. Mainly his face. Naruto frowned, wiping the blood from his lip. Damn bastard. He sighed out. He winced when he tried to get up. He looked down to his side and saw that somehow the demon had impaled his side with its rather spiky tail. Naruto could see faint traces of blood. Naruto! Are you okay? Yeah. I'm fine. It's just minor. Minor? Those aren't minor injuries. You'll need to get some medical attention if you pull this out any longer. That wound on your side. Naruto looked down to it. What about it, Toshiro? It's poisoned. Naruto frowned. He laid a hand over the wound and slowly stood up, facing the demon. Wait, Naruto. You shouldn't move. That wound being poisoned, it will spread fast. I mean fast. Don't even attempt to fight any longer. You move, and it will slowly make its way to your vitals and then throw you into unconsciousness. I can take him on long enough. No, you can't. You said you would listen when I told you to do something. You're breaking our pact by disobeying me. I know. But still, you know me. I've always liked to correct demons when they think so lowly of me and say I would kill without reason. That is one thing I will not let pass. Naruto then winced, furrowing his eyebrows. He then disappeared. That trick won't work on me this time. I can see you. The poison and wound has slowed you. Naruto growled, appearing above the demon, only to be thrown against a tree. Naruto shook his head. Damn poison. Let me end your pain. The demon then created a large black ball of concentrated energy. Naruto stared at it. You get out of there now. That's not an attack you can take, Naruto. Listen to me this time. Naruto stared a moment, and then nodded. He turned and made his way from the demon. I don't think so. Naruto saw a few demons block his path. He balled his fists. Move. He unsheathed Katsueki and rushed past them, killing the ones who were in his way. He then made it halfways when a wave of energy swept over him. He saw the black matter coming at him. His eyes widened. Naruto! Cesomaru looked up in shock. Blood. Naruto's blood. Chapter 8. As your eyes opened, blinking, trying to adjust to the sunlight. What happened? He wondered. He tried standing, but felt a complete wave of pain overtake his body. He winced and leaned back against what seemed to be a tree. He then remembered what had happened. I was battling a demon and then it used a weird technique and then, good. You're awake. It's good that you're safe. Toshiro said. Naruto then frowned some. Toshiro, why do you sound so weak? What's wrong? I used a rare technique of mine that had saved you. You're lucky you had Katsueki in your hold when I did this, otherwise you would have been dead. What do you mean? Well, the technique is called Katsueki's Guard, a normal and average name, but it alone can keep you from harm, although there is a catch. Isn't there always? Naruto said. Yes. Well, without Katsueki, you would have easily died from the pressure of the technique. Katsueki protects you from that damage, not all the way. So, most of the reason I can't move is because my body is trying to recover from the damage that was done, partly. Most of it is from the broken ribs and a fractured leg. When the demon slammed you against a barrage of trees, your leg had taken a bad hit, as well as your ribs when the demon had hit you dead on with its tail. I have been concealing you for the time you were unconscious, which is the reason why I'm tired. I should recover soon. I just need the rest. Well, get rest, Toshiro. I can handle myself from here. And thanks. Naruto ended the conversation and laid his head back against the tree. He sighed. I can't believe I have to sit here and wait until the poiso and body fractures leave me. This is peachy. Naruto muttered. He wasn't happy. Nope, none in the least. Naruto, I thought you were going to rest. I am. But I must tell you to keep watch. Why? Because you are in human territory. Damn. Sesshomaru frowned. He couldn't smell Naruto before, but now he could get a clear sense of him. Yes, there definitely was blood. Naruto's blood. But he could also sense the irritation coming from the blonde as well. Sesshomaru sighed. Well, at least he's alive. But still, whatever had done the damage will have hell to pay. Sesshomaru cracked his knuckles. And I have to return the favor as well. Sesshomaru had been searching all night long. The blonde's scent was nowhere. But now he could sense him. Sesshomaru decided that it was probably the demon lord's doing. After all, it was natural for a demon lord to cover his scent when in recovery. So, that lord had done the same for Naruto. But why release the cover now? Why not wait until Naruto recovered? Sesshomaru sighed. So many questions. It was beginning to annoy him. Naruto opened his eyes. He was bored. Just sitting around was just irritating. Naruto shook his head. When I can walk, I'm going to leave without hesitation. Then I'm going to train. This sitting around does nothing for me. Meditating, yes. Sitting around while recovering, no. Naruto heard rustling in the bushes and frowned. A growl was heard. A small wolf appeared. It was looking at Naruto as if he was food. The wolf charged. Naruto frowned. He slowly lifted his katana and placed it in front of him. The wolf, already midair, had the blade penetrate its body and through the other side. The wolf let out a cry. Naruto then flicked his blade. The wolf then slid off the blade and hit the ground with a thump. Stupid. Naruto muttered. He wiped his blade along the ground, ridding of the blood. He noticed the dried blood already on it. Great. Now I'll have to clean it off. I can even smell the demon on it. Naruto said, laying his sword at his side, ready for any attacks. Toshiro? Is there any way you can speed up the recovery process? Well, I could. But I would have to rest another day or so. And you bear with that? I can. Very well. You may feel a sting of pain. Just start. Naruto rolled his eyes. As if a small bee-like sting would hurt him. He wasn't arrogant. No, he was just appalled that Toshiro would think of him as some child. He knew Toshiro was just concerned for him, but he felt he needed to learn to stand on his own two legs at times. Toshiro was right. It was a small sting. Naruto then waited for Toshiro to speak. That should do. Can you walk? Naruto slowly placed his right leg under him and lifted himself up. He was a bit shaky, but soon stood. He nodded. Yeah. I can stand. Rest up and focus on getting your energy back, and Toshiro thinks. All right. Well, I will get some rest now. I'm sure you can take care of yourself for now. Just don't get into any fights. Ones that you can't win. The poison is still there, a little bit though. But enough to paralyze you for as long as you are infested with it. Fine. Sesshomaru looked to Jaken. Stay here and prepare our leave. I will resume the search for Naruto. Jaken bowed. Do be careful, my lord. Sesshomaru turned and disappeared. Jaken then huffed. Annoying blonde-headed idiot. Leaving like that and prolonging our journey. I'll knock him over the head next time I see him. If I see him, that is. Jaken grinned some, rubbing his small hands together. The two-headed dragon looked at each other as if saying, what a weird demon. I wonder if he's sane, and then other, don't know. But it just gives me another reason to not like him, agreed. Jaken frowned deeply. And all this is just getting old. I feel like I'm babysitting him. A rock came out of nowhere and hit him across the head. Oh, he whipped around only to see the two-headed dragon look at him innocently. Naruto looked at the forest. This is a thick one. Usually the forests I walk through are enough for light to come through, but this forest is just letting in bits of the sunlight. It must have been a clearing I was at when I was brought here. Ketsueki is almost like Tenseiga. Almost. There are many gaps to discern them. Sesshomaru is nearing. Toshiro spoke. Really? Yes. He seems to be about 2 miles from us, so we weren't that far from him in the beginning, about half a mile at the time. Naruto nodded slowly. He stopped. What is it? Toshiro questioned. It's a village. A small one. You better stay away from it. You're still poisoned. Come on, Toshiro. I'm just walking through. Besides, it looks peaceful enough. Fine. Naruto walked on. As he neared, he could make out people. Men in the shallow area of a lake while catching fish. Naruto saw many small houses. If not all, they all were so old. Naruto frowned. As he walked through, he could make out people in old clothing. Children running around, bodies as small as a year-old dog, who were at least 10 and up. Naruto made out one little girl who was walking from the group of children who seemed to make fun of her. She seemed to be limping. Naruto scowled darkly. Did they injure her? She walked away. And up to a lone house that seemed suitable for a dog. Naruto didn't like that. He had once seen children run around his estate, while Sesshomaru was away and had seen them in rags. He may have grown up with care and had been like a prince, but he didn't feel like it. He just lived with someone who raised him as a father. Naruto didn't like it anyway, regardless of what people said they were. They were also humans and deserved the same care as anyone. If not more. Naruto looked away. He would handle it later. But he would need to see why everything seemed so worn down. He saw an elderly man. "Excuse me?" Naruto said, gaining the man's attention. "Well, what might a lad like you be doing here?" he asked. Naruto looked around. "What's made this village the way it is?" Naruto asked. The man sighed, putting down a basket of vegetables he was carrying. He put his hands on his sides and looked around. Naruto couldn't understand why no one would help them. Even then, he figured he couldn't either. "Well, son," he paused. "Excuse me, what is your name?" "Naruto." "Naruto Uzumaki." "Well, Naruto, the reason our village is in such a bad shape is because we're struggling. We have had bandits come and take our best. To take our money and food, and then there was a fire just last year. It burned some of our crops and houses, only to leave a run-down home. We have tried to recreate our home, but with limited supplies, we can do so little." The man sighed deeply. "A demon slayer had come by several months ago. He gave us enough money to profit and for food at least till next year. But we still have a gap in creating our homes, and clothing doesn't come cheap either." Naruto nodded, looking to the children. "I can see. What of the children here? What do they do?" "Well, son, they rely on the food they get from the parents. Until we can get some better varieties of food, the kids eat bread and drink water." Naruto nodded, crossing his arms. He watched as some of the children piled up around the man. "Hey, come on! You kids go move along." Naruto saw a young girl look at him, and Naruto pulled out a coin and gave it to her, and then ruffled her hair, as he had seen done before. The man watched this unfold. "Say, I never said my name, huh?" Naruto shook his head. The man chuckled, outstretching his hand. "Easy habit. Name's Hajime Ichiro. I'm the main leader of the village." Naruto shook his hand. "I have to go. You need anything, just go to that one cottage with a white sheet over the front door, okay?" he asked, picking up the basket of vegetables. "There is one thing." Hajime turned to him. "Oh? What can I do? How much for a few of those fish and vegetables?" Sesshomaru looked at the pool of dried blood on the grass. He stood up and turned. He saw a trail of blood, leading deeper into the forest. Sesshomaru followed the trail. He could sense humans as well. Naruto's scent was mixed with them. Sesshomaru frowned. "You better not get into another trivial fight, Naruto." Sesshomaru continued on. Naruto held the bag of fish and vegetables. He had asked the man how much for a bag of them, and it was minimum. He saw the same young girl playing by herself. She was smiling and had some bruises. He could see it clearly now, and she had an eye sealed shut. A swollen eye. Naruto frowned deeply. Every time he saw her condition, he felt angry. Hajime seemed like a nice man, but he shouldn't let the things like beating get taken out on a young girl, especially one who was barely 7 or 8 years old. The girl stopped. She had seen him. She seemed fearful of him. "Hello?" Naruto greeted, trying to act nice. He had no experience in being gentle, since he had never really crossed paths with anyone young, a generation or so younger than him. He usually met people older than him, and had talked like any normal teen adult would. Although, some would argue he was far from a normal teen. Actually, it was an understatement. "What's your name?" Naruto asked, sitting the bag of food down. He bent down, getting to eye level with her. She gulped. She looked down, playing with the dirt. Naruto could see that something was wrong. He could guess he had her trust, but he couldn't understand what was stopping her from speaking. Or screaming for help. Not had he believed anyone would come. She was an orphan. So it seemed. "My name is Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki," he said, reaching out for a handshake. The girl recoiled some, squeezing her eyes shut tight. Naruto retracted his hand. "I'm not going to hit you," Naruto said, serious. She opened one eye and then the other. Naruto again reached out. This time he laid his hand on her head and ruffled her hair. An affection siblings showed to each other. He didn't understand it much, but maybe she did. She opened her mouth. He could feel the air, but nothing came out and she closed her mouth again. Naruto then knew what she was trying to tell him. "You're mute?" Naruto questioned. She nodded. Naruto sighed, retracting his hand. He turned and picked the bag of food up and laid it in front of her. She gave him a questioning look. Naruto stood and smiled. "It's fine. I don't need it. You keep it." Naruto then ruffled her hair once more and turned. As he did, he saw she was waving her arms to get his attention. He blinked. "Yes?" She pointed to the food and then her house and then him. "You want me to go to your house?" he slowly asked, watching the signs she gave him. She nodded. "To eat that?" he asked, pointing to the food. She nodded. "Well, how about I come back later? I have business to care for first. You go get your fill and I'll come visit you, okay?" She thought a moment, and then nodded. Naruto turned and walked to the numerous houses. He didn't notice the girl was watching him leave. Naruto got to the village and saw some wolves there. They were after a man who was swimming along in the lake. Naruto watched as the wolves slowly pulled him back onto land. Naruto then saw a man with long hair and some fur-like skin on with a tail on the bottom clothing. He was grinning at the other man who appeared to be a demon of sorts. He then stood up, taking a purple jewel fragment. Naruto knew what it was, a Shuriken jewel fragment. What would a wolf demon want with one? Remember what Sesshomaru said that one day? That's right, so this guy's a weakling, otherwise he wouldn't need that shard to boost his power. Hey, I don't suppose you're a villager by that style of clothing and sword, or by the scent of demons and blood, would you? The wolf demon questioned. He was grinning. Naruto stepped forward, his hand resting on the hilt of Ketsueki. No. I'm afraid not. Naruto replied, his voice icy. The demon smirked. Too bad. What's your name, demon? Demon? Naruto questioned. I don't think my status purrs to me that well. But you may refer to me as Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto said, unsheathing his Ketsueki. The wolf demon readied himself. Whatever. I plan to let my pack have their fill of food and end a useless human village. He grinned deeply. Name's Koga. Koga of the wolf tribe, and your slayer. Funny. Because you'll be dead if your pack of rabid, flea-infested wolves tries harming anyone in that village. I think I might like to have your head on a platter. Certainly not on a wall, too ugly. At least I can hide your sorry face under one of them covers. Naruto taunted. Koga sneered. Sesshomaru looked down to the village. A battle is beginning. With Naruto and a wolf demon. He got himself into another fight already. Great. Sesshomaru disappeared in a blue light. Naruto blocked a kick to his side. He frowned. Everywhere the Koga demon kicked or punched, it was aimed for his wounded side or to his fractured leg, which was slowly healing. He could walk, but he was hindered to a limp. He frowned and grabbed Koga's leg before spinning around and sent him flying across the ground and into a house. Koga's wolves charged. Naruto dodged one. He then dodged another. Koga frowned, seeing that his enemy wasn't killing his wolves. Koga stood, calling them back. What are you up to? Koga questioned, eyes narrowed. The way the blonde was currently moving and the scent of blood on him, Koga knew the human was injured yet despite a handicap. This human was countering his attacks and was keeping up with his speed. Koga didn't like that. What's wrong? Had enough yet? Naruto questioned. Koga frowned even more. Not yet. Koga then attacked. He used twice as much power than his previous attacks and Naruto blocked. Koga smirked. Naruto winced. He had blocked with his arm, but the aftershock had sent vibrations through his body that was in contact with his arm. Namely his side. You better start dodging. The wounded side can't take a second hit. If you do, it'll start to bleed. Toshiro said. Naruto had noted that Toshiro hadn't rested much since healing him enough to walk. Either Toshiro was tough enough to stay conscious inside his mind or just already healed. Either way, he could use the help. Still, that Koga guy had some serious power in those legs. Say, Toshiro, what do you think would be effect against him? With the limited powers in Ketsueki, I would say that the only technique best against him would match speed with speed, and power with power. The rest is up to you. Thanks for the help. It was really big. Toshiro never missed the lace sarcasm. Toshiro didn't really know how to handle the wolf, Koga. For a few good reasons. 1. He was not from this century. He lived thousands of years, but even still, he had not really battled any other lords except the ones around his lands. Toshiro understood some of the Koga's moves, but not enough to know how to win against him. The blonde would have to finish it on his own. He still had the power of the demons as well. Naruto blocked an attack with Ketsueki. How can I defeat him? This is not easy with some broken bones and poison inside me. He then kicked Koga in the side, sending him to the ground. Naruto jumped back, sheathing Ketsueki. It's time I use something else. Naruto flexed his hands. Let the fun begin, he said. Koga noted the way his hands were glowing a green color. Naruto raised his hand and a green whip appeared. It slammed against Koga, knocking him back. Koga let out a grunt. He got to his feet quickly. Looking down, the wolf demon's eyes widened, seeing a long, bloody gash where he'd been struck. What was more, the wound and the area around it was slowly starting to go numb as an unpleasant tingle spread through the wound. What is that thing? Koga wondered aloud. An energy whip laced with poison. I don't think a demon like you can actually be poisoned if you're as tough as you claim to be, but I still think that you better watch out for anything that might pierce your body and go right through to the other side. Naruto said, clearly serious. Koga growled. This is great. Just great. Damn it. I had planned this thoroughly. And now a human interferes. The other wolves will be infuriated. I finally found you. A new voice spoke. Naruto turned and he smiled. Sesshomaru. He greeted. Cesomaru stepped into view and he looked at Koga. What have you been up to, Naruto? Sesshomaru questioned. Naruto smirked. This and that. Naruto replied. Sesshomaru grunted. He then smelled the blood. It was strong. Very strong. Sesshomaru took notice of Naruto's condition. He seemed to be fine, But he had blood on his clothing. Some of which was dried, but some was new. But he also noted the wolf demon. And you, what business do you have with Naruto? I am Koga of the wolf tribe. Koga said. And he interfered with my plans, so I am doing what is best for my tribe. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Naruto and Isan. A scream called. Naruto's eyes widened. That voice wasn't recognizable, but still, he knew only one person who he had introduced himself to other than that Hajime man. Sesshomaru raised an eyebrow. Naruto? Sesshomaru, handle this guy. I have business. Naruto was in a hurry. He disappeared. Sesshomaru frowned, turning to Koga. Koga growled. No way. If you two are from the same tribe. He turned. Tell him I'll settle things with him later. Koga said, disappearing. Sesshomaru sighed. I'm not sure if I should feel grateful I don't have to fight a worthless battle, or insulted that he didn't feel me a threat. Other than that, what is so important that Naruto would leave a battle? Naruto appeared. His eyes narrowed. He saw some wolves surrounding the young girl. She must have been sensed. Naruto unsheathed Kitsueki and disappeared. He then appeared in front of her, killing the wolves around her, sending the rest back. The wolves cowered and left. Naruto sheathed Kitsueki and turned to the young girl. She was wide-eyed. She then hugged him, clutching his clothing. Naruto stared a moment before laying a hand on her back. Hey, it's okay. They're gone now. She sniffed, sitting back. You can speak now? She opened her mouth. Naruto. She said, slowly saying his name. Naruto smiled. She pointed to herself. Rin. Rin? That's a nice name. This is what you came for? Sesshomaru questioned, walking to him. Naruto picked her up. I met her earlier, but I thought that she would be safe. I was wrong. Sesshomaru looked at the girl. You plan to bring her with you? Yes. Sesshomaru smirked. He turned. Fine. You do realize that Jaken will have a fit when you come back and bring another child, nonetheless. Naruto nodded. Exactly. Somehow, Sesshomaru knew part of him would find that funny. And they had a new member. What he couldn't understand was the ever-growing feeling of evil in the air. Naruto couldn't place what was giving him such a feeling, and he was sure Sesshomaru could feel it as well. And whatever it was, he was certain that it was nothing to laugh at. Such powers in the Sengoku period, as Sesshomaru said, were not pleasant. And with Rin in the group, Naruto wasn't sure what would happen to her either. He enjoyed the fact that someone as cheerful as her was with them. It had been several weeks since they had taken her in. Naruto had taken her to a village where a shop was during their last visit and had bought her several clothes, and she was a different person. Of course, Naruto was enjoying his time with Sesshomaru and pestering Jaken. It was quiet without someone to further annoy Jaken. And Rin was the one to do it. She had been taught several things while in a village, and had been taunting Jaken with the games she wanted to play. Jaken himself had learned that being rude to Rin would be his demise. And this certain threat came from both master and apprentice. Jaken was pensive about this in areas. Why would Sesshomaru also indulge in such actions? Jaken himself could understand why Naruto would being a human himself, but Sesshomaru? Why would that matter to him? Jaken couldn't understand Sesshomaru's actions since day one. Naruto looked to An. Rin had given that name to the dragon, and it was far better than just calling it beast as Jaken dubbed it. An, do you sense that as well? The dragon nodded. Rin tilted her head to one side. She had changed much, and Naruto was glad in his own way that she was just a normal human. She was also pure, free from any evil. For the moment. But still, Naruto couldn't let her witness some things yet. Sesshomaru backed him as well. Sense what Nisan? Rin asked. Naruto looked to her. The area around us, Rin. Naruto replied. We have vistas. He finished, dropping An's reins. He laid his hand on his hilt. Sesshomaru as well. Jaken raised his staff. Jaken, stay near Rin. The demons may try to attack her first. Jaken looked at Sesshomaru, who nodded. Jaken made his way to the dragon. Nisan, what's going on? Rin asked, fear evident in her eyes. Naruto stepped closer to the other side of An. Sesshomaru, I think the same demon who attacked me before is back with a vengeance. Naruto said, smirking some. He was ready for a rematch. He was too cocky last time, and he was now ready to face it one-on-one. Sesshomaru nodded. Come and get it. Naruto muttered. Sesshomaru humphed, disappearing. Naruto disappeared as well. He then reappeared behind An, and blood splattered on An's saddle near Rin. Rin screamed. Naruto threw a demon which had somehow made its way to An from his blade. Naruto sliced its head off. Jaken, it would be nice if you did something, he said. Jaken growled. I am. Naruto scoffed, disappearing. Worthless human, Jaken said, burning a demon. Rin frowned. Nisan is not worthless. Naruto dodged the claws of a demon. Who the hell is sending all these demons? Naruto asked, killing the demon. Kami, where's your leader? He asked, pointing his blade to the demon. The demon merely growled. Your funeral then. He let his blade fall, killing the demon. The blood splattered on his clothing. Damn it, he said. Now I'll smell just like a demon. He sighed, walking forward. You can come out now. I know you're hiding. A rather ominous laugh was heard. A deep voice greeted him. Good. You fight like you were taught. It seems Sesshomaru has taught you well. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Who are you? He asked, raising his blade. Answer me. I am known as Naraku. Naruto flexed his hands. Really? The half-demon? The one who reincarnates demons from his own body? You really are filthy. Naruto sneered. Naraku let out a laugh. I guess my reputation precedes me. Your insolence, though, needs to be taken down some pegs. It seems that more than Sesshomaru's abilities have rubbed off on you. Naruto raised his sword. I have been taught well. I don't need you to tell me what I am capable of. You, on the other hand, need to be killed. I should let Sesshomaru handle you, but after what you have told me, I think I'd like to test your powers. After all, some demons have bark, but no bite, and from what I heard of you, you weren't even a born Han, just some pathetic pickpocket that sold his flesh to a horde of low-level demons, and became a patchwork imitation of a demon. Why you dash? Naraku sent some of his seimyosho. Naruto examined them as they came toward him. He raised his sword. Nibei Wangetsu Toshiro. Double crescent Toshiro, he sent his katana in a circle and it created a few kanji in patterns. The seimyosho then were incinerated as they came in contact with the small shield. Naraku frowned. Naraku raised the fur-like clothing. Purple soon appeared. Miasma. Naruto covered his mouth and nose with his sleeve. Fool. Naruto disappeared. Naraku was surprised. What? Naruto appeared on a branch. He smirked. You really think that I can be kept in one place? Don't underestimate me, Naraku. I may be human, but I'm far from your average human. Naraku gritted his teeth. He then smirked. So I see. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto frowned. How does he know my name? Apprentice of Sesshomaru, you shall be greatly rewarded of your efforts if you join my cause. I can make it worth your while if you do. I will give you anything you desire. I know I can use his skills. With that sword's abilities, and a demon lord's as one, I can make my ambition see me into fruition even faster. Then I will kill him. It's flawless. Sesshomaru raised his head. His eyes narrowed. Naraku. He sheathed his sword. He turned and disappeared. Naraku is here. What does he want? Inuyasha was livid. He had been traveling for hours with his group and nothing on any jewel shards or Naraku. Not even Kagura. What the hell was going on? Inuyasha stared in anger as he continued. He could sense his friend's uncomfortable shuffling as they walked along. Inuyasha didn't care. He was interested in that kid. Ever since he had arrived, everything had gone downhill for him. Naruto was just a pain. First, he comes to Kid's village, then battles him, and then Inuyasha finds out he's in league with Sesshomaru. Why was Sesshomaru even with that kid for? He had said he hated humans. And yet he had trained one. In his way. Sesshomaru was just a mystery as his own father. Inuyasha didn't know him, and wasn't even positive he was even like him, but Sesshomaru was no doubt like him. Just stoic and had an aura of power around him. Just like Naruto, Inuyasha was glad he never inherited those genes. Geez, he would be just like Sesshomaru and Naruto. Inuyasha, is something wrong? Kagome asked, walking by his side. Kagome was worried about her friend. He had been quiet the past few weeks. Just being by himself. No one even saw him. Not even Kagome herself. You are never in though, why start now? Miroka asked. Inuyasha growled, whipping around. You calling me stupid? Shippo jumped on Miroka's shoulder. Basically. He said. You're just a doer, not a thinker. Inuyasha growled. You little punk, Kagome sighed. Well, he's basically the same as usual when insulted. Oh boy. Sit boy. Ga. Shippo sighed. Kagome shook her head. She then stopped. What? She asked. Kagome? Sango asked. Is something the matter? Kagome hummed. I sense a sacred jewel. She said. What? Inuyasha asked, standing quickly. Well, come on then. He started. Which way? He asked. Kagome pointed west. From here. I sense the darkness coming from it as well. We'll have to hurry. Inuyasha sniffed the air. I sense someone else. Who? Miroka asked. Naruto. Master Jaken, will Lord Sesshomaru and Naruto be okay? Rin asked, looking at Jaken who was sitting on a boulder some ways from her. Rin was sitting against An, making a flower necklace. Jaken grumbled. Huh? Rin asked. I didn't hear you. I said they'll be okay. Good Kami child. Lord Sesshomaru can take care of himself. What about Naruto? Rin asked. Jaken muttered something. He'll be okay too. Maybe he'll die. Kami, the kid annoys me as much as this child. At least I don't have to babysit him. Why does Lord Sesshomaru tease me like this? Have I not served him well? Sigh, maybe not enough. Jaken stood. I will finish this job and with as much determination. Rin seemed confused. Master Jaken is acting weird, huh? The dragon nodded. I am not. Anything? Naruto questioned. Yes. Anything you wish. All you have to do is serve me and we will take over the world and rule it. Naraku said. I'm getting closer. And as I said, you will be rewarded. Naruto paused a moment, lowering both his shield and sword. Naruto was silent for a moment. What is your proposition? He finally asked. Inuyasha, slow down. Kagome called, running after the half-demon who was quickly making his way to the place where the sacred fragment was at. She was riding her bicycle and was trying to keep pace with Kurama and Inuyasha. She finally stopped, sighing. I give up. Need a ride? Sango asked. Kagome smiled, getting off her bicycle. Sure. Inuyasha was some ways ahead of them. Finally, they had caught up with him. Inuyasha. Kagome snapped. Sit. The half-demon fell flat on his face. Listening close enough, swearing could be heard. Inuyasha jumped off of Kurama and walked by Inuyasha's side. Inuyasha, what is so important that you would leave us in the dust? We have had many jewel fragments to chase after before, why is this different? She questioned. Inuyasha grumbled, because, he half-answered half-yelled. He'll be there too, he said, gaining raised eyebrows. Kagome leaned back, crossing her arms. He? She asked. Do you mean Sesshomaru? Moroka asked. Inuyasha growled. No. Naruto. Silence. Inuyasha frowned. What? Something wrong with me wanting to have a talk with him? Kagome shook her head. Inuyasha, what's so important about him? Is he some kind of danger? She asked, seemingly concerned. Inuyasha sat on his haunches and scowled deeply. He was looking up at the sky with his hands in his sleeves. Inuyasha? Actually, he's just what you described. Inuyasha answered. To rid this world of fools, Naraku answered. Fools inhabit these lands. What someone needs to do is finish this task of wiping them out, and with your powers you can help me finish it. Naraku was inwardly smirking. Naruto clutched his sword's hilt. His knuckles were white. Finally, he answered, all right. Naruto paused a moment. I accept. On one connection, he raised his index hand. Naraku nodded. You will leave Sesshomaru and his group alone, and Inuyasha? Naraku asked. Do as you want. I don't care. But I highly recommend that you leave Sesshomaru and the others alone. Naraku laughed. Naruto frowned. Good. Now, my offer is that you do what I say without questioning or hesitations. And what I decide, you will not interfere. Is this compromising enough? Naruto slowly nodded, agreed. However, I may have to make it look as though we see one another as enemies, and I'm trying to thwart you in order to fool your enemies into believing I stand with them. Naraku chuckled at that. I have no qualms with such a residence is east of here, several weeks at best. I will be sure to have someone approach you when you arrive. As you should know, this is just a puppet after all. A large mountain, you will see a cave there. Enter the cave. And there will be torches along the way. And Naraku then disappeared, having his head cut off, and Sesshomaru stood in the demon puppet's place. Naruto, Sesshomaru spoke. He looked up to the blonde. What are you doing? He asked, venom in his voice. Naruto was unfazed. Sesshomaru narrowed his eyes. Answer me, he said. Naruto's hand made its way to the sword's hilt. Sesshomaru tensed. I'm sorry for this, Sesshomaru. I really am. But we all have something that we have to do. You have been following your ambitions and I have followed for as long as I can remember without questioning your actions. And all I ask is that you not try to save me or try to unravel what I am doing. I have my own ambitions as well, Naruto said. Sesshomaru noted places where his voice almost broke. And I don't want to fight you either. But if it comes to it, I will. It's come to it, Sesshomaru said, raising Tokijin. Naruto unsheathed Ketsueki. Fine. Both disappeared. Inuyasha stopped. He unsheathed Tetseiga. A laugh soon had the others ready as well. Kagome frowned. A figure appeared. Naraku. Inuyasha growled out. What are you doing here? Naraku smirked. Inuyasha, it seems you have outlasted your span. I'm impressed. I would have thought you to be dead now. What a shame, you bastard. Inuyasha cursed. Naraku laughed. Kagome tensed, raising her bow. Now I know who had the tainted jewel is one of the few who can make the fragments that evil. Kagome hated the demon even more. As much as I would love to end your pathetic lives here, I have business to take care of now. And with my new ally I think you will have trouble. Inuyasha, I would hope you would turn and run away, but I'm guessing that stubborn human side will not permit you to. So, the hideaway is in Matsudae Tanshin. Inuyasha frowned. Kagome lowered her bow just a bit. What is Matsudae Tanshin? She asked. Naraku chuckled. You will see. And he then disappeared. Why are you doing this, Naruto? Sesshomaru questioned. I have told you what Naraku is. Why do you persist on joining him? Naruto winced some. He frowned deeply, forming a shield from Sesshomaru. Because of some causes, he replied. And this is not just about me, Sesshomaru. I know what needs to be done. I have been informed of things. Naraku may be evil, but I can also finish his evil doings. I understand it was your job, and so the swords clashed. Sesshomaru saw a saddened look in Naruto's azure eyes. I will give you the chance to kill me when I defeat and kill Naraku. An amendment for this upcoming crime. Sesshomaru frowned. Are you scheming something, Naruto? No. This can't be you. Since you have received much training and much information, you have changed, even after coming into my world. What made these changes? Or is this your doings? Naruto jumped back on a tree limb. I didn't want to resort to hurting you, but if it must be done to do what I'm planning, he raised his sword. Sesshomaru prepared himself. Sodiibara no Heichur. Binding rose end. Sesshomaru stepped back. He noticed that different smells were around him. He looked up and jumped back as he noticed the girl. She had a red dress on and many roses in her hair, and she was possessing a scythe with black roses adorning it. What is that? Sesshomaru muttered. Naruto stood to the side, his sword embedded in the ground. Sesshomaru noted it was pulsing, the technique I was planning to defeat Inuyasha with during our first encounter. But it seems that I have to use it on you. Sesshomaru raised his sword. I'll just have to break that technique then. Sesshomaru stated, confidence flowing. Naruto pulled out Ketsueki and raised it. Finish him, Rina. The girl silently dashed forward. Sesshomaru easily dodged each attack. He let his blade fall, but it didn't pierce the girl. What? Naruto sighed. Sesshomaru stared, surprised. Rina is no human. She is merely a spirit of myself. She was created from my own technique, which enables her to sever the soul of her enemy. This is an exception though. Considering you are demon, she can only inflict damage to your body. Therefore, it's just like getting cut by a sword in real life. Rina disappeared. Naruto found Sesshomaru standing several feet away. Tsuruyoha. Dragon Strike. Naruto raises Ketsueki. Sobagetsui. Violent Moon. A shape like the moon appeared and it clashed with Tsuruyoha. Naruto stared emotionless. Sesshomaru as well. The attacks cancelled each other out. Naruto grunted, using teleportation. Sesshomaru turned and blocked an offensive attack. He noted that Naruto was in a hurry. He could make out a few flaws. Sesshomaru pushed his strength into his sword. Naruto jumped into the air. Sesshomaru looked up. Naruto released Ketsueki from his grasp. Kyusei Ranpu. Great light. Sesshomaru closed his eyes as a light penetrated the area. When he opened his eyes, Naruto was gone. Naruto sighed, daring to not look back. This is for the best. He muttered. One day I will reveal what I have planned. But I can't let you know yet. You, Jaken and Rin will be in danger. Someone who raised me as you did doesn't need to know what I'm doing. He disappeared in the darkness. Now to meet that scumbag. Inuyasha and his group stopped. Inuyasha saw Sesshomaru standing nearby and was waiting for Jaken and Rin to get ready to leave. Kagome slid off Kurara and stepped by Inuyasha's side. Sesshomaru, what's going on? She asked. Sesshomaru didn't even tense at their presence. I have a better question. What are you doing here? Inuyasha asked. It does not concern you, Hanyu. Sesshomaru replied, sounding even more annoyed than ever. Now leave before I decide to behead you. Kagome knew Sesshomaru wasn't in any mood to play around. And she was convinced that the demon lord would not have any care about killing them. Something was off though. Where's Naruto? Miroka asked. Sesshomaru tensed at this. It raised important questions. Did something happen to him? Sango asked. Kagome seemed concerned some. Inuyasha was staring at his half-brother. He's gone. Sesshomaru said, walking ahead. What? Gone? When? How? Kagome asked. Sesshomaru looked at her coldly. Like I said, it is none of your concern. Hey! I have unsettled business with the brat, and I think we deserve to know. Inuyasha snapped, taking a stance. That little punk better not disappear, Sesshomaru, or it'll be on you. Sesshomaru stopped. He then disappeared. Inuyasha was lifted off the ground. Sesshomaru was holding him by the neck. Say that again and it'll be the last time you ever speak, he stated, dropping Inuyasha. Keigo walked to Inuyasha's side. Inuyasha, it would be wise not to push him. Miroka said. No duh. Inuyasha replied. He rubbed his neck where some red lines were. Sesshomaru was seriously angry this time. I wonder if Naruto did something to make him this way, Sango said. Kagome shrugged. Who knows? I don't think so, Miroka answered. Naruto and Sesshomaru have had a close relationship. Almost like a father/son one. And I'm not saying that Sesshomaru has taken it upon himself to call Naruto his son or nothing, but he acts like it half the time. If you catch times with him, surely you should know Kagome. Kagome nodded some. I guess, but I never properly knew my father. But he does act protective now that I think of it. TCH. I'm thinking that Sesshomaru has bargained with the kid or something. Inuyasha said. I don't know. But it isn't really our business, is it? Sango asked. Maybe Sesshomaru does see a bit of himself or someone inside Naruto, and he wants to protect him for it. I never have heard of the story of how they met. It would be something else. Miroka agreed. Sango growled. Stop feeling me up, you perv. A loud slap could be heard. Naruto stood on a cliff. It was late at night already. He had several weeks at best before he would reach the designated place. He was not looking forward to meeting anyone in that area. He was just ready to finish what he had done signed up for. Nothing else. The stage was set, and he had set up his role. He only prayed those dear to him would understand. Naruto leaned against the cave's wall and stared ahead. Given the time to think over what he had never thought that this decision would set him apart from Sesshomaru, Jaken and Rin, most importantly. Rin, he thought, how will she take all of this? It seemed that his well-thought-out plan had not been so flawless. It isn't that bad, Naruto. Besides, maybe Sesshomaru understands what you were trying to tell him. Toshiro had tried to comfort him since leaving. Sesshomaru had acted like a shield from dangers when he was younger. Naruto had appreciated it. But there also came a time when he would have to do something in return. Like Sesshomaru, Naruto hated to be indebted to someone. Maybe so, Toshiro. But Rin and Jaken aren't smart enough to know how to decode Sesshomaru as well I do. Naruto knew he would have to face Sesshomaru again later on, and when they met during the last battle, it would be time. I'll have to reveal what my plans are. Until then we'll have to stay in the dark. Yes. Naraku will suspect something. Exactly? Naruto turned his attention and stared out the cave and watched as the rain started to decrease. He stood up and walked to the entrance and looked at the forest around the cave he had taken shelter in. I need to get going before someone discovers me, Naruto. Toshiro spoke. This is also dangerous. I know that, but it would also be a hindrance if Sesshomaru decided to track us and suddenly found and trapped us here. There would be no way I could possibly defeat him. The last time was a getaway trick. And he won't fall for it again. That's why I changed my outfit, slashed up my old one, and scattered the pieces to spread out my scent so it would be harder to find me, as well as the changes you enacted on me and beat Kurama into doing for me as well. Naruto stepped out from the cave's shelter and out into the open. He disappeared in a flash of orange light. Lord Sesshomaru, please slow down. Jaken's distant voice called. Sesshomaru turned and stared at the trio as they slowly caught up. Jaken finally sat down, panting. He sighed and stood up after a moment. If you can't keep up, then wait here until I come back. Sesshomaru's cold voice broke in. Lord Sesshomaru, why are you in such a hurry? Jaken asked between panting. I'm sure that Naraku will dash. Sesshomaru had turned his eyes on Jaken and narrowed them. Jaken gulped, stepping back. Forgive me. My sincere apology. Jaken bowed deeply. Sesshomaru turned and sighed. Wait here. I'll return shortly. And with that, he walked on. Jaken sat up and watched as the demon lord's form disappeared. He sighed to himself and leaned against his staff. Lord Sesshomaru has been colder than usual. We had encountered Naraku, but we've met him many times already. Why is this so different? Naruto must be on patrol, or he went out for a stroll, so nothing could have happened, could it? Jaken couldn't comprehend what had Sesshomaru in a bind. It puzzled him. Rin sat on Ann's back and she sadly watched as Sesshomaru left. Did something happen? I wonder what though. What do you think is wrong, Ann? She asked the two-headed dragon. The dragons shook their heads. Rin crossed her arms with a small frown on her lips. I wish I knew. She looked to Jaken. Master Jaken, she called. Jaken turned and looked to her. What do you want? He asked rudely. Do you know what's wrong with Lord Sesshomaru? No, I don't. Jaken snapped. Now stop asking me useless questions. He turned and huffed. Rin looked at Ann and blinked. She then shrugged. Ann sent its tail in Jaken's direction and hit him across the head when Rin had turned her back. Jaken landed on his face. I gave Jaken a devious look while Ann just settled with snorting. Sesshomaru walked silently through the forest as he remembered the first fight he had with Naruto just a few days ago. What is he planning? Why join Naraku? What is Naruto thinking? He asked himself. Sesshomaru had made a promise to Minato almost 14 years ago now that he would care for Naruto. Now, he had lost all contact with the young boy. He couldn't even sense him anywhere. Sesshomaru had often thought about Rin. How would he explain things to her? She looked up to Naruto as an older brother, and Sesshomaru didn't want to break the news to her at all, because she was someone very important to Naruto. But he tore away from us. Sesshomaru's inner demon stated. Do you think that he really felt anything for us? He's a human and you are a demon. Do you think that we can possibly have such a relationship with a human? You should know what happens when you allow yourself to befriend and get close to a human. They are parasites, no better than a Hanyu as your cursed half-brother. Silence. Sesshomaru growled. It doesn't matter what happens. I promised that human, Minato, I would make sure his son was in good hands. A lord never goes back on his word, and I won't allow myself to believe anything you have to say. Be as it may, his demon said. You may care for the boy like your own son, and yes, I've seen how you treat him. I know your innermost feelings. You actually feel fatherly toward him, don't you? I'm not surprised. Raising a human child from birth is a task only a parent could do, and you pulled it off splendidly. Regardless, I don't see why you care so much in the end. He betrayed you. Why should you carry out your promise if he turned his back on you and all that you taught him? I was there when you promised that human to keep his child safe. but I didn't know why you felt obligated. I can see that under all of that hard mask you wear, you actually feel you need to protect Naruto, and I've seen that you also care for your little brother. And how did you come to that conclusion? Sesshomaru questioned. You speak out of line when you say I care for that Hanyu. Do I now? I know for a fact that you have had many chances to kill him, and yet you have yet to even try to kill him, and from this theory, you are weak against your brother and Naruto. I see now. His demon chuckled. Sesshomaru cut the link from them and continued back to the camp where he found Jaken and Rin. We shall leave by the break of dawn, Sesshomaru said. He looked at Rin. Her eyes were silently asking where Naruto was. Rin, go to sleep, he commanded. Rin looked at him for a minute before she quietly obeyed. Sesshomaru had to find Naraku and kill him, and then maybe Naruto would return to his former self. It would be the best for everyone, even Sesshomaru. Inuyasha and his group sat around a fire. Kagome sent concerned looks toward Inuyasha once in a while. She had been thinking about the whole incident with Sesshomaru the last time they had seen him, but Kagome thought as she looked at Inuyasha. Maybe Inuyasha is more confused than we are. After all, this is Sesshomaru we're talking about. He isn't exactly the caring type of person. In the beginning, Kagome would have said she hated Sesshomaru for many reasons, but still, she couldn't grasp the fact that he was totally bad. Inuyasha? Kagome asked, breaking the silence that had gone on for a while. The white-haired looked at her, and then he raised an eyebrow. Are you okay? You know, with all of this happening? With Naruto and Sesshomaru? Inuyasha asked. Kagome remained silent. Inuyasha scoffed. I'm fine. I don't see why it should bother me. We haven't been close to begin with. For now we should probably be more careful than usual, Kagome said. Since Naruto isn't around anymore, we probably won't have as much assistance from him or Sesshomaru. What is it with you and Naruto? Inuyasha asked, his voice laced with irritation. Why do you bring his name up all the time now? Inuyasha, he's just a boy, Kagome said. He can't be any older than 13. Inuyasha scoffed. I'm serious, Inuyasha. It's not easy to kill someone at that tender age. He's a pro if Sesshomaru's taken him under his wing, Inuyasha retorted. I don't see why that bastard even thought of making a human kid his apprentice. He has 2 kids with him now. 2. He said he hated humans. I don't see why he'd have 2 humans with him if he hated them. Totosai did say that a person with a compassionate heart can only wield the Tenseiga, Sango said. Maybe we don't know him as we claim to. Sesshomaru isn't compassionate. Inuyasha defended his earlier statement. He's obviously getting something out of it if he's training a human kid. I don't think so, Inuyasha, Kagome said. With what I've seen lately, Sesshomaru isn't as bad as we made him out to be. You have to remember, he did disappear when you hit him with the Kaze no Kizu. He was gone for a long time. He spent his time recovering, Inuyasha said. And he was probably afraid to come and face me again, after losing to a worthless Hanyu. But he also returned with Naruto, Miroku said. Inuyasha sent him a glare. It's true that he did change once he returned with Naruto. I think he's a lot happier now. Happy? Sesshomaru? Inuyasha asked, as if ready to laugh. You must be kidding. The day Sesshomaru is actually laughing and content with his life, I'll gladly admit I love him as my brother. That day may come sooner than you think, Kagome said, smiling a bit. Well, I have hundreds of years to wait. Inuyasha sighed as he leaned back. What is it about Naruto you can't stand anyways? She asked him. Inuyasha merely grunted. He didn't like Naruto for various reasons. The 2 main ones were because Naruto was trained by Sesshomaru and was treated on a different level than he himself was by his half-brother. Second was because Naruto was only a human child by Inuyasha's standards and being defeated by him made him feel inferior. How could he defeat Naraku if a full-fledged human could overpower him? The main question is what do we intend to do now, Miroku said. With a possible ally out of the picture, we might be back at square one. Ally, Inuyasha snorted. Don't you mean threat? What's with you, Inuyasha? Kagome asked. I don't understand why you feel so much hatred toward Naruto. You both may have gotten into a fight, but that doesn't mean Naruto is our enemy. And when you're defeated, you find a way to win next round. Inuyasha crossed his arms. Look, it doesn't matter. Just as long as I can battle him and test my strength, I could care less what happens to him. Kagome furrowed her eyebrows. Naruto's just another obstacle in my way in killing Naraku. If I get him out of the way sooner, the better. Miroku and Sango exchanged looks. Power means that much to you? Kagome asked. Inuyasha turned his eyes to her. You know that's not true, Kagome. I just want to finish this all so we can live in peace without worry. That's what we've been trying to reach, right? Inuyasha questioned. They agreed that was what they wanted, but it's changing you, Inuyasha, Kagome said. Slowly, but we see it. You're changing. You talk about testing your strength, and then you say you don't care what happens to a human boy. It's just not you. Inuyasha stood up. What the hell is that supposed to mean? He snapped. I'm not changing. This is me. Me. I'm not being anyone else. Besides, I have no reason to be afraid of either Naraku or Naruto. They could rot in hell for all I care. ANS you all can too. Inuyasha turned and jumped on a tree branch and disappeared through the night and into the forest. Kagome stood quickly, wanting to run after him, but she stopped when a hand was laid on her shoulder. She looked at Miroku. He needs time alone, Kagome. We need to let him be. He'll need to face the truth with or without us. Naruto yawned as he stretched and hopped out of the tree he'd slept in that night. The sun was just beginning to rise. Morning, Toshiro. Naruto said. Morning, Naruto. Ready for your training? Nodding, Naruto removed his sword, sheath and all, from its usual place and sat cross-legged on the grass, folding his hands into his lap with his wrists resting along the sheathed blade that was set across his lap. When Naruto opened his eyes, he stood and picked up his sword. The area around him had changed so that now he was within a dojo. And before him stood a single man who was clearly not simply human. His hair was raven black in color, it rested in a high ponytail, there were the long pronounced tear troughs under his eyes, and one could plainly see the odd segment of armored flesh or bone that had formed what looked like a set of horns or a natural crown upon the creature's forehead. He wore a traditional kimono top that was black in color with a white lining. Under that, he wore a traditional Chinese kung fu uniform that was black with red frog buttons and red rollback cuffs, black pants and red tabi socks with black kung fu shoes that were made to resemble a type of closed-toed waraji. He also wore a red mandarin-styled hat topped with a gold ball and trim, while a straw casa hat was hung over his back by a strap he wore around his neck. However, what were truly eye-catching was that he had a line of red scales going from the top of his forehead down over the right side of his face across his eye and down to the base of his neck, and the fact that he had an exact double of Ketsueki Gozai Doragon hug at his hip. Ready for your lesson, Naruto? The person asked, drawing their Ketsueki. Hi, Masashi Toshiro-sensei. Naruto said, mirroring the demon lord. Toshiro rushed at Naruto while forming his hand into a flat palm, and thrust it upon the flat edge of the blade he carried. Naruto ducked in an awkward bending position, and began to slice upwards at his opponent, while he started spinning around. The stance he'd taken was done by bending his left leg inward and extending the right leg outward. Then he pivoted and rushed at Toshiro at a high speed, swirling in a tornado-type attack. Shoha Tozai blocked with Senran Tozai. Good. The spar continued for quite a while until Toshiro said he sensed an approaching demonic aura nearing Naruto's body. Naruto opened his eyes and stood, taking a moment to stretch until his joints had let out a satisfying pop, then he moved to intercept the demonic aura. She was running, trying to escape as long as she was able to move to avoid the giant soul collector Naraku had sent to render her an empty shell. That was all she could do. It opened its mouth and she stumbled as the dead souls that animated her were ripped from her being and she fell to her knees. Turning over, she saw the gaping, toothy mouth and she knew she was too weakened to even lift her bow. As she watched, an orange flash of light flooded her vision to show a young man with a drawn blade. She could tell just by looking at him that both the sword and the swordsman had power. So begets the eye. A red energy wave in the form of a dragon shaped like the crescent moon appeared and it sliced the red soul collector down the middle, spilling all the dead souls within Naraku's beast as its halves fell away. Well, that's done, he said, then turned around. You alright? He asked. She nodded. Naruto noticed that the giant eel had been after her for some reason once he'd confirmed what the aura he was sensing had been. Of course, he placed more importance on the demon than on her, but with it now out of the way, he took in her appearance. She was a young woman that he would have described as very beautiful. She had pale white skin and long, straight black hair that fell past her waist. Her hair was tied in a loose ponytail with a ribbon. She stood around 5'2", and had big, brown, doll-like eyes. She wore the traditional dress of a miko, except for the lack of the slit shoulder seam, a white jacket with sori-kakuri cords through the sleeves and open shoulders, similar to Inuyasha's and Jaken's outfits. Munahimo's strings were attached to each lapel and tied in front to keep the garment closed while the sleeves fit somewhat closely like a loose shirt and extending slightly past the wrist. The slits on the side of her hakama, and the openings at the sleeves and shoulders of her Haido jacket showed the white kosode she sported. She wore a bright red nagabakama which included the small board on the lower back. On her feet were common tabi socks and rice straw sandals. Naruto paused. He felt some kind of connection to her for some reason. Maybe he'd seen her before somewhere? She gasped as the small, white, eel-like demons around her gathered the souls and placed them into her body. Thank you? She said, then looked at him as if studying an obscure text. You're the young man that was with Sesshomaru, aren't you? She said as she eyed the young man who was her rescuer. You're both welcome and correct. Might I know your name? Naruto asked. Whoever this woman was, he was impressed at how well informed she was. Kikio, she said as he held out a hand and helped her to her feet. Naruto, he replied, then turned to the giant red Shinadamatsu from the aura on this overgrown winged eel. A certain half-demon with a spider-shaped scar on his back that's able to absorb other beings to increase his own strength and gain their abilities. Dose not like you much, Naruto said, prodding the corpse with the tip of his sword. Kikio nodded. Naraku doesn't much like me, though Enigmo still does. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that. Say what? Who was Enigmo? Old boyfriend? He asked. He wishes and that's why Naraku hates me. Naruto smirked. Didn't know Patchwork was the Jalao's type. He joked. He was rewarded with a small laugh at that. He grinned. So she could smile after all, eh? Good. Say Kikio, form your appearance. I take it you're a priestess. Do you know anything about the Shirkan jewel, by any chance? He asked. I don't want it for power. I need it to get to where I can earn the right to be stronger. Kikio's mood had hardened at the mention of the jewel, but as she turned the statement he made over in her mind, it made no real sense. Not at the moment, but why do you ask and what do you mean? Naruto shrugged. Needed to get to a place I can get stronger at since I'm not as strong as I need to be for my goals. With the jewel's power, opening temporary portals is a simple enough task. Now that made sense. Training to grow strong. Having known Inuyasha, she was well aware of that aspect of the male species. This young man was only using the jewel as a means to get to where he planned on training more quickly. So want to come along with me? Just in case. He asked. Kikio eyed him, then looked at the halves of the soul-gathering demon Naraku had tried to dispose of her with. She sighed, knowing what he proposed made sense, yet she couldn't not yet anyway. I'm afraid I must decline at the moment. Naruto nodded. She had her reasons, so he wouldn't press. All right Kikio, but as a last question, you wouldn't happen to know where Matsudai Tanshin is by any chance, would you? Naruto asked. Kikio's response was to extend one arm, and one of her soul collectors flew away from its fellows and wrapped around her outstretched arm. While I can't become a companion to you on your journey yet, I will lend this soul collector to you as a guide. Just tell it where you wish to be led to, the re-minted Miko said. Naruto blinked. So she was going to give him a guide since she couldn't do it herself at the moment? Well, that was kind of her. Though he noticed that Kikio kept stealing glances at him, but he chalked it up to his appearance. So this is the one Midoriko-sama and the Rikudo Sennin want me to aid. I wondered what those visions they appeared in were of. She thought. How odd the priestess whose soul had created the Shirkan jewel as well as the sage whom had defeated the Jubi had seen it fit to contact her and make her aware of this young man. She couldn't help but wonder why that was, but felt that in the fullness of time, she'd become aware of why that was so. But she wondered why he had split from Sesshomaru in the first place, and what did he mean by he needed the jewel to reach somewhere. She'd ask later. There was no help for it if those were topics that he wanted to avoid just yet. Best to tread carefully. Having heard what Sesshomaru was like from his half-brother before they were played against each other, she suspected that the young man would likewise cut her down as coldly as Sesshomaru himself might if angered. Still, the part of her that was a woman, not just a Miko, had to admit he was rather handsome. Unlike how he had first appeared in her visions, he wore a long coat that had black shoulder guards. He wore black clothing underneath that, as well as crossed leather straps, though those weren't as noticeable due to the black clothing that he wears underneath them, black boots, and a pair of fingerless opera-length black gloves wrapped in studded red-brown leather straps. He sported claws on both his hands. His hair and lips were both jet black in color, while as for his hair, it was in spikes that stuck up in every direction like the spines of a sea urchin, and in the very back was in a ponytail which was tied low, and reached into his upper back, and his canines had also lengthened and sharpened, turning into fangs while his whisker marks grew more pronounced, widening and darkening until they resembled feral-looking abysmal scars. His eyes had been the greatest change as, not only had his eye shape become more vulpine and gained dark circles under his eyes, but his once soulful cerulean blue eyes had changed, becoming blood-red with an animalistic black slit for the pupil. In his right hand was a double-edged, straight long sword that resembled an Indian khanda and made for one-handed swordsmanship. It was slim, yet large and slender at the same time, while it was wider at tip and narrower at base, making it somewhat similar to Sesshomaru's Tokijin. The blade itself was a pure onyx black, but at its very edges, the faintest trace of red could be seen. The hilt itself was inlaid with a red dragon's crest, against the entwined black wrapping of the hilt, and its scabbard was black and had a belt. The black scabbard was at his left hip, secured by a thick black belt. He returned his sword to its scabbard and gave a respectful incline at the waist to her. My thanks, Kikio. I'll be sure to see to your friend's well-being. I hope we meet again soon and that it's under much more favorable circumstances. She nodded, yet a nagging curiosity made her wonder what he was planning. He had to have had reasons for breaking away from Sesshomaru. Yet in her visions from Midoriko and the Rikudo Sennin, they had told her that he followed the same goal as her, yet traveled to it by means of a different course. In any case, she had the sense not to ask that in case Naraku was watching, which she knew was more than likely, and to know that his means and goals would become clear in the fullness of time. As he moved to follow her soul collector she had lent him as a guide, she had the feeling that this wouldn't be the last time they crossed paths, and that whatever they may be, she hoped his goals were fulfilled. Naraku seethed as he watched all this within Kanna's mirror. Damn it! His own ally had foiled his attempt to undo Kikio. The Hanyu grit his teeth in fury at his own carelessness. How could he forget about how Naruto didn't know about Kikio and as a result, not know that he wanted her gone? It was stupid and careless of him. He should have told Naruto he wanted Kikio destroyed back when he had accepted being allies with the boy. What was worse was that they seemed like they might become allies at a later point due to this. Damn it. Yet what made Naraku the angriest about this was the sense of relief he felt coming from Enigima's grubby little human heart that Kikio had survived. It made him sick. This complicated this for him. He needed some way to keep an eye on Naruto, an agent that couldn't betray him serving as the boy's companion. Someone formidable enough to where he couldn't overcome them himself, yet knew would more than likely to blab that he was on Naraku's side to anyone that could help him beat them. But who? Naraku pondered it, thinking. Then he recalled someone that Inuyasha had nearly been overwhelmed by who seemed to fit the needed requirements. She was weak enough for Naraku to control, yet she was also quite confident of herself, thinking herself extremely powerful, which she was, seeing as she as well as the first demon to appear as a serious threat to Inuyasha, and had almost killed him herself. In fact he would have, were it not for Kagome's aid. Yes, she could fill his need to rectify this dilemma rather well. And he had a way in which to test her power and gain 3 new jewel shards in the process. Kagura! He called, and his detachment came it. There's something I need you to retrieve for me. Some time later, the silhouette of Kagura loomed over the mass of hair and skulls that littered the area. She had no reason to search the area since Naraku had given her specific directions. She walked to the center, where she located the shattered remains of a red skull which was strangely easy to notice in the dim moonlight. She bent down and picked up 2 halves of a red comb. Why does Naraku want this simple comb? She thought to herself. She decided that it wasn't really her problem. She wove her fan and set off home on her magical feather. I hope that there was a point to this, she grumbled to herself. At the castle, Naraku was waiting patiently for Kagura to come with the item he requested. Here is what you requested, she snapped, as she entered the room and set the 2 halves of the comb on the ground before him. Naraku positioned the comb so that the seams matched perfectly. He then took out a jewel shard and pressed it firmly against the seam. The jewel shard and the comb pieces started to glow. Naraku took a step back. The light suddenly et out a huge flash. On the ground was the comb with a jewel shard in the center that looked as if it was a decorative attachment. Lying right by the comb was what appeared to be an unconscious young girl with short, dark green hair which she had tied up fan-like in a hair bob style. Her hair was dark enough to appear black in some lights. She had creamy skin and sharp fingernails, as well as a lithe and very agile body. She had reddish-violet eyes and wore red eyeshadow. She had her hair tied up using a red ribbon, and adorns a black ribbon choker, tied at the back of her neck in a bow. She wore a traditional kunoichi garb. Her ninja tunic was black and sleeveless, cut off midway down her thighs, and exposes the cleavage of her large breasts. She also wore a bright yellow sash which tied at the front of her outfit along with thin, tight, black gloves on both of her hands. They were holstered by her middle fingers and extend beyond her wrists, just short of mid-forearm, and were more decorative in nature rather than serving as actual guards, as per what most ninja wore. She wore tight, black cloths acting as foot guards on both of her legs. They started midway up her shins down to her middle toes, each held by thin straps at the bottom arches of her feet. They are also more decorative in nature rather than serving as actual guards, leaving her practically barefoot. An empty wakizashi sword scabbard was holstered on her left hip. Naraku quickly grabbed the comb. So this is why that comb was so important. May I ask for her name? Kagura said, curious in spite of herself. She is Yura of the hair. Naraku said with a small smile as he waited for the young demoness to awaken. Where am I? Yura asked as she opened her eyes. Suddenly she had a flashback of the day she died, how that stupid human girl destroyed her. Where are Inuyasha and that girl? I'll rip them to pieces. That is not important right now, said Naraku from behind her. What is important is that you are alive once more thanks to me. You now will do as I command. What in all of heaven, earth, and hell combined makes you believe I'll do that? Yura snapped, already wanting to kill this man. Isn't she the rude one? Commented Kagura as she entered the room, attracted by the shout aimed at Naraku. Naraku chuckled as he pulled out the comb. Yura's eyes immediately widened with a mixture of fear and rage but quickly turned calm. So you have my life in your hands. So what is it you want me to do? Kagura will take you to the mountain where the wolf demon tribe lives. There you will find a demon named Koga. He has 2 jewel shards, one in each leg and one in his arm. You will kill him and bring the shards to me, and thanks to the jewel shard I put in your comb you are many times more powerful than you were before. I will have your new partner join you shortly. Now go. Naraku explained. Partner? The hair demon scoffed at the word. She didn't need anyone's help. Yura turned to Kagura. Let's go before I get bored, Yura said in her usual childish voice. Kagura just rolled her eyes and went outside with Yura following her. Stand close. Kagura commanded. Yura did so and soon they were both on their way with Kagura's feather. Kagura, in the future I recommend you don't make me cross. Understand? Yura asked as they were soaring through the air. Kagura wasn't listening. She didn't care for being a chauffeur for this odd demon. They soon reached the base of the mountain. This is as far as I take you. From here you're on your own. Kagura said in an irritated voice. I'll come by time to check up on you if your partner hasn't found you first. Don't worry, this shouldn't take long. I should have the shards by tomorrow as well as a new collection of hair. Yura chuckled. Now pick me up tomorrow at noon and don't be late, she said with a grin. By then it was too late, for Kagura was already on her way home, rubbing her temples in annoyance at Yura's behavior. Ah well, she would be that Naruto boy's problem soon, the thought amused her. Serve the boy right for turning on Sesshomaru and joining Naraku. Wait a second, where did that thought come from? Yura tuned to look up the mountain. This should be fun. She chuckled. Yura started her trek up the mountain. Since I no longer have my hair collection, I'll need to find some other way of combat until my collection is back to its former glory. I'll have to find a weapon to use since they didn't bother to grab my Benegasumi for me. Yura muttered to herself, thinking of the wakizashi which she used for close-range combat. It was unique and a treasure among the oni because it had the ability to cut through flesh and bone, but not her specialized hair. 15 minutes later she saw through the bushes a couple of wolf demons on the road arguing over a sword trying to take it from each other. The sword in question was, to Yura's delight, her wakizashi, Benegasumi. The taller one's hair was deep red, which Yura took immediate notice to, the other one she couldn't care less about. Give me a turn with that thing, you had it for over an hour. Whined the smaller one. No, I found so I get to keep it. Go find your own. You didn't find it, you stole it. Yura couldn't stop herself from laughing noticeably. The two wolf demons immediately turned their heads to see Yura standing right there in the open, apparently laughing at them. Yura stifled her laughter long enough to say, Can I have a look at that wakizashi? The taller demon had no idea why, but he handed it over to her without hesitation. Yura then said that was nice, returning my lost Benegasumi to me like that, though not as nice as your hair though. Before he could react, Yura swung the sword with full force. His head rolled onto the ground by her feet. What have you done, you crazy bitch? Yelled the other demon. He then pulled out a knife and threw it right into where her heart should be. She turned to face him with the knife still sticking out of her chest noticeably. Now why did you go and do that for? Yura asked politely. Suddenly she ripped the knife out of her chest and threw it into the wolf demon's neck. While he was gasping on the ground trying to stop the excessive bleeding, she walked over and leaned over him. Here, I'll stop it for you, Yura said with a grin. She then did him the kindness of separating his head from the rest of his body. She went up to the nearest cave she could find. She tossed the heads into the cave. Welcome to your new home. This is a perfect place to set up the collection for now, Yura said to the heads sweetly. As she turned around she saw what appeared to be some kind of traveling troupe. It had 10 men and 5 women. This is my lucky day, Yura said with an innocent smile. She jumped back down from the cave and ran down the center of the group making unbelievably fast swings. Once she reached the other end, Yura just stood and waited. One by one their heads all fell off onto the ground. Yura hauled the heads up to the cave and put them in. Ah, it's coming along nicely, she said to herself. Now where's this partner that guy in the baboon skin mentioned? She said with annoyance. At the very least, she could add whoever it was to her collection. Come to think of it, that creepy, manipulating dumbass never told me who I'm waiting for. Yura whined. As if in response to her complaint, someone who appeared to be a 10-year-old girl with pure white hair with white clothing materialized in front of her. Who are you? Yura asked. The girl made no reply, but rather held up her mirror and Yura looked into it, surprised that where her reflection should have been, was instead a moving picture as if seen through a telescope. Yura eyed the black-haired young man it showed with an appraising eye. He was quite handsome. To be blunt, he was hot. And his hair looked like water woven into silk. Yura licked her lips. This is who my partner is, right? Yura asked. The girl in white nodded in confirmation. His name is Naruto. And quite strong. Yura could see that, as she watched through the mirror and saw her partner to be a decapitated tribe of ogres, apparently taunting them as he was reading a book as he fought them off us and his sword all without looking away from his book. Not bad at all. And you're sure he'll be here soon? Yura said. The girl nodded then faded away, leaving no trace of even being there. Naruto, huh? Yura said thoughtfully. So he was going to be her partner. He'd do very well as a matter of fact, and if things didn't work out between them well she could always add him to her growing collection. The thought made her lick her lips and squeal in delight. Now to kill some time by chopping up this Koga guy and taking his 3-jewel SHRDS as her own. But where to find him? Yura paused as a shadow passed over her, and she looked up. Birds of paradise, huh? She said, recognizing the shape. This she could use to her advantage. The leader of the birds of paradise was enjoying the warm air currents when strands of hair zoomed up and wrapped around it, dragging it to the ground and left it pinned, helpless without the ability to fly. The Siamese bird of paradise squeaked and struggled to escape the hair, with no success. Stop struggling, you'll tangle up my hair that way, bird brain, a voice snapped, and the bird demon turned to see what appeared to be a human girl there, yet she was clearly a demoness from her comment. Release us. The Siamese heads roared in outrage. All in due time, but this is the only way I could get to talk to you. You see, I have a proposition for the birds of paradise. Yura said. The Siamese heads froze then shared a look with one another and turned back to Yura. We're listening. I'm here to kill a wolf demon named Koga, and judging by the bits of wolf fur stuck in the jaws of your lower body, you not only know where to find him, but happen to be enemies since you like wolf meat. I can use my talents to help you and your flock of birdies get as much wolf meat as they want. Yura said, then explained how she was able to control people and practically make them into her puppets by making them lose consciousness, and using her hair as the strings, catch her opponents and preventing them from moving freely and getting to hang them if necessary, and following her enemies by sticking a hair to them, and just follows it where they go, to give her an idea of the location of her target. As she spoke, the two-headed bird demon's harpy-like upper bodies began to grin wickedly. So do we have a deal? Yura said once she finished. Deal. All those wolves delicious. And Koga's death to sweeten the agreement. The flying DM laughed, and Yura removed her net and shook on it with the other demon. What if Sesshomaru adopts Naruto and Inuyasha? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.